Just want to give you a heads up that this episode will contain spoilers from up through Chapter 10, the Cosmo Canyon chapter of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Bugenhagen is supposed to be, I guess, kind of revered character, but this makes us kind of not like him.
Yeah.
Or at least a lot of people are like,
instantly.
What a butt.
A fascinating account. Were it true?
He was being nice, like showing us around, but as soon as he does that, it's like, dude,
It was so dismissive and condescending. Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Final Fantasy Files, where we discuss all things Final Fantasy, from planetariums to daddy issues to Bugenhagen. My name is Jolie Hales.
And I'm Ernest DeLeon.
And I'm Spencer Price.
Yes, and today we are going to continue, once again, discussing Chapter 10 of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is, of course, the Cosmo Canyon chapter, which took me 19 hours to complete and is taking about as much time to talk about. So, yay for that. And it is worth pointing out, as we always do at the beginning of every discussion, that Spencer and I beat the game when it first came out. I beat it on normal mode, and Spencer is playing it for a second time, but this time he's playing it on hard mode. And this is the time you're doing all of the side quests in hard mode.
Going for that plat, even though it doesn't matter now that they've made the streamlined progression. Just kidding. I'm happy that they made it easier for new players.
I'm excited for you to try to get an A on all of the piano minigames.
Yeah, the hardest part, maybe this isn't true, but not the combat or anything. It's just the piano minigames that I can't figure out.
I bet you can do it.
Oh, we'll see.
And then, of course, Ernest is playing it on story mode right along with us, right, for the first time. And since we haven't really progressed since the last discussion, I assume you probably haven't either, which totally makes sense.
No, and as a matter of fact, I overloaded myself a little bit over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, you're working multiple consulting gigs at the same time that accidentally ended up overlapping. Ernest and I actually got together and went to the Distant Worlds concert and got to catch up.
That's right, you guys did.
That's right.
Driving from San Jose to San Francisco. Okay, we have to talk about this really quick. And by the way, not to just cut Ernest off. He's working as a consultant, and he's so in demand that the current gig he had wanted to extend, and the next gig he had lined up wanted to start early. So he's kind of screwed.
Yeah. So I had an overlap about 6 weeks. Now, fortunately, the previous one has now concluded actually as of...
Oh, really? Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Exactly. As of Friday of last week. So this week I'm kind of ramping down, and I'm hoping by next week I'm good.
Cool.
Okay, fingers crossed for you. So thanks for being here. And you guys, Ernest is also getting over bronchitis. So Thank you, Ernest, for being here despite the craziness.
Oh, I feel phenomenal. It's just my throat. And so if I sound a little nasally and throaty, it's because of that. But I don't actually feel bad.
He's just getting choked up at the sight of seeing Bugenhagen.
I'm just getting choked up at playing this amazing game.
But yes, we did go to Distant Worlds, so this is kind of crazy. So I love the Distant Worlds concert. Super quick side note here. It is my favorite concert. The symphonic Final Fantasy music is zen for me. I love it so much. And I begged them to come to the local city, and they would never do it. And they finally, Distant Worlds decided to come here. And I was so stoked because I used to go see it in Southern California all the time, but I couldn't once I moved. And they came, and I was devastated because I was supposed to be out of town for work, and so I had to miss it. And I was so depressed. Wasn't I depressed, Spencer?
You were very mad. You were mad about your job. You're I don't know if it's worth it to make money.
I only travel a handful of times a year. It just happened to be.
Yeah, and it just happened to be on that time.
The week that they were here, and they never come here. And I was like, this is my only chance. This is such a bummer. And I'm too cheap to fly somewhere else. But then there was a conference that I was supposed to go to for work in San Jose, and I looked at the schedule for Distant Worlds, and the San Francisco show was the same week. And I was like, well, wait a minute. How do I get to this San Francisco show if I'm in San Jose and I don't have a car? Ernest was nearby and was able to take me, and he also had tickets. I'm here at the Final Fantasy concert! And I got to meet my buddy Greg. Hi, Greg. I think he watches. Hey, Greg, what's up?
Hey, Greg.
Greg is my buddy from my Disney days. And so I got to see Greg and hang out with Ernest and see the amazing music of Distant Worlds, which, by the way, the San Francisco Orchestra and Choir is so good. So good. Don't you think they were so good, Ernest?
Oh, they were. I mean, they were amazing. I've seen them quite a few times over the years, but yeah, they're phenomenal. And then on top of that, the fact that they brought in the guest singer was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, but I think it's the same singer. So it's the Final Fantasy XIV voice, right, who does a lot of those songs. But I think she also does the My Star song from Final Fantasy XVI.
Mm-hmm.
A sky of scattered tears, 1,000 years apart. Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark.
I didn't realize they had hired the same singer for both of those games, but she was so good. And it's so hard to sing live. And My Star, if you don't know, I did a recording of myself singing My Star, kind of more Broadway style than jazzy. And I had to record it like 30 times because it was so hard. And my voice kept cracking.
Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark.
She just gets up there and she just, like it's nothing. And I was like, I should never sing again because she's so good.
You sound beautiful too.
And no, not like her. She was so good. But anyway, it was awesome. So the stars aligned for me to be able to not only go to the concert, but actually see a couple buddies like Ernest. What did you think?
Oh my God. You caught me on. It was amazing. I mean, what did you expect?
So good. And that's when Ernest and I had the drive from San Jose to San Francisco, and I got to hear all about his exciting, crazy work adventures. So
My too much. I'm with Spencer. What did he say a second ago? I don't know if working is worth it or...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I want to make money anymore.
They wouldn't let me go to the Final Fantasy concert, so I'm going to quit my job. Except for they're the reason you got to go to San Francisco.
But imagine that somebody out there was in a similar situation.
Yeah, that might be a reason.
And the concert happens. They're like, you know what? This is a sign. I quit.
I'm going.
And we're done.
Yeah.
No, I have to pay my mortgage. I'm not as wealthy as you, Ernest.
Yeah.
So I actually have to have a job.
No,
Ernest made really good life choices early in life.
listen to Ernest.
I was a filmmaker from the beginning.
I would say it was more like I was lucky that I had some amazing people to,
Give you guidance.
give me guidance. That's a good way to put it early on.
Whereas we're in our 40s and I'm like, shouldn't we start saving for retirement? So bad.
Don't air our financial dirty laundry,
I know, right?
Jolie.
Right. We're actually good.
Just kidding.
We're responsible with money in that we don't go into debt and spend it on crazy things. But yeah, we're artists. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little more extreme on that, right? Jolie knows, right?
It's true. And Ernest, are you still doing your finance podcast?
Yeah, well, not the podcast, the blog. The podcast, I kind of put it on hiatus because I just completely got buried.
Yeah.
You got buried in making the money that you couldn't talk about it anymore.
If you're going to choose that or the blog, you choose the money.
I am bringing it back, the podcast.
Well, tell us what the blog is, because there might be some listeners who actually want to learn finance from Ernest.
Oh, so it's called simplefinancebytes.com, and bytes is spelled with BYTES.
Okay.
Yeah, like the memory.
And it's literally about exactly that, simple finance. So it's one of those things where the financial world out there wants you to think that stuff is incredibly complicated and difficult.
Yeah.
Like taxes.
Yeah, so that you pay them to do it for you. And so the point of it is the blog is all about saving money. And the second thing is there's actually a very, very simple way to invest that anybody can do, especially nowadays you just literally do it from your phone. So the point of it is to just get people to step back and stop thinking about it in terms of how complicated and how stressful it is, and just take a very simple approach to it.
That's awesome.
And if that's how you start, right, especially from a psychological perspective, you will be much better off long term. And I will say that time is the biggest tool you have. The younger you are, the earlier you start, that matters more than the amount, right? The later you start, the amount matters a lot more. So this is like, I'm trying to get to the young people to say, hey, you can start now simply for a low amount. And as long as you're consistent, you're good. Low stress, very simple.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you want to learn finance from somebody who's done quite well in that area, Ernest, you didn't know I was going to give you a plug here. I didn't either, but here we are.
I had no idea. I was like, okay, sure.
But it was fun to ride with you to the concert. Thank you so much for making that even possible for me. That was such a treat. And it was funny because Ernest drove me there, but my ticket was next to Greg. So I ditched Ernest and he went and sat by himself in a better seat, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then I hung out with Greg. And then joined back up and we drove back home and heard some stuff about finance, jobs. It was a treat, but...
And you got good weather.
And I did have good... I mean, it's San Jose. Do they have bad weather?
Rarely, but it's usually during the rainy season. That's one of the reasons I don't want to leave, because it's literally the weather.
That's what we miss about California more than anything. It's like...
Oh, it's incredible.
Every day you walk outside and you're like, God is real.
It's beautiful.
Whereas, like here, literally we had a blizzard today. It's in mid-April.
We did.
And it has been 70 degrees all through February. So everybody's super confused because the weather doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
But it was so hot for you guys. It was like mid-80s when I was there in San Jose and for that time of year.
Fair enough. Hot for the natives, not hot for me.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah, you're from Texas, right? But it was so hot that I went running on a mountain trail that my dad runs all the time because he has a house out there. And I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. The people who follow us on stream know this, but I legit wasn't paying attention, was running down this path and my foot came down and I heard a rattle and I looked down and I literally stepped 2 feet away from a rattlesnake. And I was like, dang, that could have been a real bad day.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of freaked me out when you told me that story. You were like, I was been fine.
Yeah, well, I should have known better. I don't run mountain trails very often. I'm usually like a paved path runner, but I was just running this because my dad always done it. He's never seen one in his life on that trail. He's run it 100 times, but...
I was going to say, I've never seen one in California. I mean, I know they're here, but I've never seen one yet. Growing up in Texas, I saw them like all the time growing up as a kid, right?
I bet you did, yeah.
Yeah, but I've never seen one here.
But anyway, yeah, it was a good time in San Jose. Got to actually see Ernest in person, and that was a lot of fun. And we kind of talked a little bit about the game, but not too much because we don't want to spoil opinions here. And I should also say, speaking of spoilers, that while we will be spoiling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we will only be doing so up through the end of Chapter 10, just in case there are any latecomers who have started listening as they play. And if so, of course, welcome aboard. It's good to have you. It's funny. Spencer was talking to Google Home and asked, what is the Final Fantasy files? And it called us a Western Lens book club for this game series, which I was like, that's actually pretty accurate. That's
Yeah,
It was crazy.
Yeah.
We do these deep dives into the game. It's like we're kind of a book club if the Final Fantasy series was a book.
A very, very long book club.
Yeah.
We're basically making our way through the Tolkien series at this point.
Yeah, for real.
No, it's true. It was fun. I was talking to Google and I was just asking them about Final Fantasy podcasts, and it was a little bit self-indulgent, but I was like
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking for a podcast about Final Fantasy with kind of down-to-earth hosts that
Is that who we are? I'm so glad.
who aren't lore experts. I just gave it a bunch of things that I knew would kind of point towards us. And they were like, you might be looking for someone like the Final Fantasy files. And I was like, yes, Google talked about us. And I'm like, we've made it. But then later it was or you could listen to MinMax's Deep Dive. And they're a huge outlet that came from Game Informer.
Yep.
Or you could listen to Jason Schreier, who's the premier game journalist in the world, right?
Yeah, he's been dropping some bombs lately of scoops.
Yeah. And he has a podcast called Triple Click, and they go over a playthrough of Rebirth and stuff. So it was funny. I was like, well, I'm glad that I gave it all the correct stuff so it would highlight us. But
I'm looking for a Final Fantasy podcast that does deep dives with 3 hosts. One is
woman,
a girl.
2
yeah,
men.
2 are boys.
One is her first name starts with a J and her last name is Hales.
And then it finally tells you, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then I should also throw in a quick note, a little plug here that as of this recording, so we have started live streaming again, at least Spencer and I, right? So Spencer does a variety stream on Wednesday nights.
Subtext is here to debate Spencer live on stream. Subtext would destroy me.
Last night you started playing the original Final Fantasy from Nintendo.
Crystal Bearers. There's a task I would ask of you. Will you rescue my daughter, Sarah? We gotta save the princess! It's a save the princess game!
I played the original Final Fantasy, and I've like heard so many things about it, and I thought it would be boring, but I was having a great time.
I'm just gonna attack him. Like, he went first. Ouch! Dude! Is Dustin dead? Dustin's dead. What happens when you die?
So Jolie and I stream Remake on Fridays.
Dun,
This is so good!
dun, 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 dun.
And I do like a
Yes,
little bit of a
side by
variety
side.
stream on Wednesdays. And even last night we were talking about like what we would do, and we're like, if we ever do a Final Fantasy VI stream, we're gotta pull Ernest in, and we gotta
Yep.
talk about like
Oh, yeah.
he can go off on Kefka and like all the cool stuff that's going there. And
And I have never streamed before, so I'm probably not very. I mean, if you watch, it's pretty obvious.
you're great.
Whatever.
You're way too hard on yourself.
I died in chapter 2.
You did die in front of everybody.
Fighting like the simplest grunt ever. Run away!
Okay, go. Heal.
Okay. I wasn't even paying attention.
You're okay.
No, I'm zapped. I need more. No! Stop! No! You guys, stop it! You kill me! I'm gonna die! No!
I'm not controlling
oh,
you.
No! Oh no! Oh no! Wait, how much time? 47 seconds. I'm gonna wait this out.
They can shoot you. That guy will fire something at you.
Well, he's not gonna hit me if I'm rolling
he
around. Nope.
You want to make me die?
No. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I got 30
good
seconds.
stuff.
The longest. No.
Ow!
Oh, fetch.
Not yet.
No. No. Run. Where's the other dude? Where is he?
He's
Oh,
over
there
there.
he is. Why am I locked on this guy? Okay.
You got 56 HP.
What am I doing, Braver?
Is there a high potion?
Mother
Do a barrel roll.
I was not paying attention. And it was one of those things where I thought I only had potions, but I had high potions. But I didn't use the high potion. I used the potion, and then I died.
One is hard, especially if you don't have the pixel remasters.
This wasn't one, though. This was remake.
Oh, remake. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was playing Remake, so she died to some grunts in chapter 2.
Well, I have nothing to say. I played on story mode, so
And we were playing on normal, but
But it's fun. I mean, it's like 8:30 on Wednesdays with Spencer, and then both of us, we do like a trade-off timer, a 15-minute timer where we take turns with the controller and we play a remake. And by the time this recording comes out, we probably still won't be done with it since we're only playing it on Fridays. So join in. And you can also watch the VODs too if you can't catch us live. But it's fun to have you live. We've got a really cool group of people who show up and chat with us and are so kind.
Chocobro says, I think it's weird that Wedge stays behind to protect the exit. What is he going to do against a squad of 10 troopers and 5 dogs? Which is so funny, but then Javier wrote, probably eat them.
Jolie liked that one.
the nice thing is if you're tired of waiting for these deep dives to come out and it's like every month or whatever, even though they're really fun, I like when Jolie puts it all together and we have this good conversation that's kind of more thought out and scripted. But when we do the live stuff, if you want to get our immediate thoughts or hop in with us and just chat with us, that's a great way to not have to wait so long, and you can ask us questions about the stuff that we're doing on the podcast.
How are deep dives going? Do you record and edit one at a time or pre-record multiples?
We record. So when I was on maternity leave, wow, that word was hard to say.
Maternity.
leave.
I plan to branch it out. It was more of an experiment, and yeah, it's been really fun. So we're happy that the community that shows up, and we'll have to expand it and try out different stuff as we go along and see what people like.
And we're learning along the way, like our first time we streamed together.
Oh yeah, I've messed up so many times.
No. Well, there were some hilarious things because Spencer had routed a lot of actions to the same buttons. And so he'd push one button and like 3 things would happen that weren't it was funny.
Okay,
Oh,
do you
what
want
are
me to-
choices?
Hang on, I can do a poll.
Something refined, something sporty, not exotic. Oh no, the stream disappeared.
No, I didn't.
Really?
Oh, I picked
Then again,
exotic.
you're
Oh.
making an effort.
You pushed the button.
I'm so sorry. I knew I'd break
You
it.
clicked it. You guys, and we picked exotic.
will do.
That's gonna be the sluttiest one.
But the best part was we blew a fuse because he had a space heater on as well.
Yeah,
So
we-
just mid-stream, like mid-game, everything went black for us.
I didn't die.
You did good.
No, don't say I did good. It's okay. I did I survived.
And we're just like, what? And everybody who was watching was like, where did they go? We had to start a new track.
It was during the boss fight of chapter 1.
We had to do it over.
We were fighting the Scorpion boss.
The Scorpion boss, yeah. So
we should have just left the stream there. Everyone's like, and finale.
And we're done.
Yeah, like what happened?
So as you may have seen if you were on the YouTube stream, we blew a fuse because we're professionals.
We also will probably try to stream Summer Game Fest as well. So, because I think we're getting a teaser, if not a full trailer.
I think that's when they'll reveal the part 3 trailer for sure.
Yeah, so you can see us on YouTube, these streams. You can see us on Twitch, but no one really knows about us on Twitch.
Hey, we had like...
I didn't even know.
No, I know, Alyssa was talking and some other people that commonly watch our shows. They were on Twitch, but my multi-stream chat app wasn't updating, so we didn't know that they were there.
They were like talking and we were just ignoring them.
Where is Alyssa? I know, she is... We miss Alyssa. Oh, Alyssa says, you're either ignoring your Twitch stream chat is broken. Oh no, have you been talking on Twitch? She's been commenting forever. What are your expectations before you hit start?
But then we got it refreshed and it was working. And that was like our best Twitch night ever. So well done.
So like 2 people.
Yeah. When I say best Twitch night ever, it was like 4 people. So
yeah.
Either way.
Streaming's not easy.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people look at it and they think, oh, that's simple. But
yeah,
I used to do it years ago and it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. Spencer's put together a really nice interface and we have a fun thing going on. But yeah, you can catch that. It's 8:30 Wednesdays and Fridays, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So that would be 7:30 Pacific and 10:30 Eastern Time.
There's a lot of Eastern people that watch too.
I know. They're so nice.
I know. I feel so bad to keep them up so long.
So late. Yeah. Hopefully they can sleep in. But anyway, should we get into chapter 10?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Oh, and one last side note. So my Sephiroth Kingdom Hearts shirt, the funny thing is that Spencer bought this for me for my birthday thinking that we would be streaming Kingdom Hearts. He thought that was going to win the poll for the stream.
I thought for sure people would vote for Kingdom Hearts.
Just because I have a Disney connection.
Because of your background with Disney and you've kind of been open about that and everyone's like, we want to know like the Disney side and the Final Fantasy side. So yeah, I was like, oh, I got to get our Kingdom Hearts shirt.
But it didn't win. We got like 230 votes, I think, and Remake won. So
yeah,
I bet a lot of the people who come regularly voted for Kingdom Hearts, but they were outvoted by the people who just randomly saw the poll.
Yeah, much to Andrew John Bennett's dismay. He
I
really
know,
wanted us to get Kingdom Hearts.
But I'm having really a lot of fun with remakes, so I'm glad that we're doing it. But anyway, okay, back to chapter 10. Let's see. So as far as our last discussion went, so our party had been let into the village of Cosmo Canyon and explored the spectacle that is that place, right? Which it definitely is quite the spectacle. And then we spent the majority of the last episode basically discussing the NPCs and planetology as a sort of religion and scholarly place. And we also talked about whether or not the developers intended to present planetologists in a cultish fashion. And then we also visited the Cave Hotel and its mini games. And that was pretty much the whole discussion. And today I think we can start to get to some really good story stuff because there wasn't a lot of that in the last episode and I'm anxious to get there. So as we plow ahead, remember that we've just learned that Red is actually Nanaki, who's this youthful cat dog who has revealed that his voice is actually much higher than we had thought all this time.
They're good people, I promise.
Which we won't get into depth here because we went into depth about it a couple episodes ago. And now, as we're exploring the village here in chapter 10, we actually run into this cat dog again, right? But this time it's at the top of the path. Because remember, when we first entered the village, she scampers off, and that was pretty much the last time we had seen him as of our discussion. But now we run into him again. He's at the top of a path, and we have that whole dialogue we briefly touched on in that episode where he says that he was pretending to act the old man.
I suppose it was your duty to act the old man.
I wanted you to treat me as an equal, not a dog.
Then he runs off again.
Yeah, then he says some other stuff and runs off. But I mean, you should know by now, if you watch us, just how much I dislike all of this. But again, there's really no need to hash it out now. I just wanted to touch on that's the moment that we see here. But it is worth mentioning that this is where Nanaki first starts to reveal a bit more about his backstory, which we've also touched on. We'll touch on the backstory in more depth later, but this is like where they first kind of introduce it.
I was born and raised here, in this canyon. I was to become a watcher of the veil like those before me, until I was taken by Shinra. Now that I'm home and have repaid my debt to you, I plan to serve my village once more. I appreciate all that you've done for me. Thank you.
We're really gonna miss you, Red.
Oh, don't say that. You're only making this harder. I mean, I wish we had more time, but this is my duty.
Then the conversation ends when we hear some elderly man's voice.
Nanaki! Is that you, my boy?
Coming!
And then Red goes all puppy dog and he like sticks out his tongue and pants and wags his tail and okay. And then he scampers off toward the voice, leaving us behind to wonder who the heck he actually is. And our party watches him go and Tifa asks,
Was that goodbye?
Nah, I'm sure we'll see him around the canyon. The real question is, why'd we come here? To learn the secrets of planetology. Come on!
which I think is hilarious because I remember when I first heard this,
The real question is, why'd we come here?
I was thinking, I have a lot of other real questions because he's like, the real question is learning about planet. And I'm like, no, the real question is what the heck just happened with Red? So it was kind of hilarious because I wanted to hash that out right here and now about like what just happened to the cat dog. But clearly I'm the only one in the party at this point who cares at all about that. So no. And then Barrett then walks off with Yuffie following him and she's calling out,
Can't forget that Materia!
As for me,
Kate sits down.
I'm gonna steal some shut-eye, if you don't mind.
So while it doesn't explicitly like say so on the screen, our party then becomes Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith, which is setting up the Observatory party, right?
Yeah.
So that's like how they get there.
Yeah, and you can go talk to Barrett and Yuffie separately before you go up to the observatory if you want, right? Because it's like they just go check out certain parts of the village and you can find them there.
Yeah. And I love that like Kate just sits on a step and like falls asleep.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised to hear him snoring. Because if you know Kate Sith and you know what's going on, like you think, oh, of course you want to go somewhere and kind of power down, right? Like take a nap.
Right.
But he was like actually snoring, which was interesting.
Dedication to the craft.
I mean, that's par for the course for a cat. So
There you go. I don't know because I've never had one. Just dogs.
me either, but I have friends who have, and every time I go in, it seems those things are asleep. So whatever.
And then I'm not sure about you guys, but I did a couple more things before actually heading to the observatory, like really quick we can touch on. So I visited Snaps. Did you visit Snaps, the photographer?
No, I didn't.
He's under like that canopy.
Yeah, Ernestine, I remember you being like, I'm over the photography thing. Like, I don't care. And I don't blame you.
It's so clunky.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I don't like this thing.
Well, like having to use the PlayStation screen cap to take the picture, it feels weird.
It's like a Trojan horse where they're trying to teach you how to use the
How to use the
screenshot button
PlayStation,
on the PlayStation.
Yeah, it really is.
Rather than in-game, but they have an in-game NPC that's trying to teach you how to use it. It's very strange.
Do you think when it's on Switch, they're going to actually develop like a camera engine or a camera like...
No, because there's a screenshot button on Switch.
On Switch, okay. So
They'll
they'll probably
just do
just
the
use
same
that
thing.
again. Okay.
So because like PlayStation 4 like pioneered that, like the share button, but now it's on all of the consoles.
Gotcha. They're probably hoping that you're going to take these pictures and share it and like...
Yeah, they just want you to do social media. It's free marketing for them.
Free marketing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I did go to Snaps anyway, because I do all the things.
Yeah.
And the thing I do like about Snaps, though, is that he always asks to take Cloud's picture.
Fancy running into you here. Say, how about I get a shot of you giving thanks to the planet?
And the poses that Cloud does. So this time...
It's the best. I don't remember this.
So he does a prayer pose.
Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah, it's fitting for the location, right? And it's also pretty funny because every pose that he strikes after the first few chapters, at least, is something that he would never actually do. So it's like this little wink of humor for the audience and a reminder that the game just doesn't take itself too seriously, right?
I still love this one where he's like...
Yeah, that
That's
one was probably...
That one's like my favorite.
I think there was a ballet one too, wasn't there?
Yeah, and got Gaga or something.
Can't remember. Yeah,
But
it was
they were-
some kind of like this maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Clearly, I'm a ballerina.
I like it when the cactuar got him and he had to pose like the cactuar.
Oh, like when he had to, yeah, that wasn't for snaps, but then he was forced to do the cactuar pose.
Right.
That was for the Kid G side quest, Ernest.
Yeah.
You would remember that.
You'll be hearing from me soon.
And I think, was it Yuffie that was laughing at him and then she got it next and it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, and we haven't even gotten to the rest of those, by the way. So there's more to unfold.
Yeah, it hasn't concluded, right?
Yeah, that was one of those weird, like, proto-relic side quests that, like, you can't do all in one chapter.
Yeah.
Give me your contact info. That way, I can hit you up when the trial's good and ready.
What?
Because you have to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like the snaps poses. They make me laugh. I look forward to them whenever I Whenever I sneeze, I look forward to snaps. No, whenever I see snaps, I'm like excited. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, so I even debated talking about this because I do feel bad. Okay, but I'm going to talk about it anyway.
I know what you're going to talk about.
Okay.
Are you talking about the Queensbow player?
Yes.
Oh, it's our very first catch of the day, folks. We have ourselves a challenger.
Okay, so there's a Queensblood player named Bernard.
But like, I'm so interested in what you're going to say because all the Queensblood players are ridiculous. So let's hear it.
Yeah, they're all ridiculous, but I don't even know how to say this. Okay, because each voice actor is a human being.
Wow.
Who is doing their best and having to work under really difficult, like, dubbing circumstances. And there's this great chance that the person who voices this Bernard guy is like a super cool human, but I swear he must have been having a real rough day or something in the studio because I feel bad.
Yeah, set the scene.
Let me just say that I won't linger on this, but there is no way that he's like, that was my best performance after he got out of the booth. They must have thrown like a bunch of different NPC lines and he had to just go through them like boom, 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 boom. And I don't know. But part of the problem is the dialogue is already really cringy.
Could this shark be more of a guppy? Well, I spy a row of razor-sharp teeth in this little fishy's maw.
If you don't remember Bernard, he's supposed to be this, like, sort of on-camera personality, like, kind of a game show host, but I think he's more of, like, a news reporter that's, like, really sensational.
That's right. Our audience doesn't want to hear commentary. They want to see blood.
I don't know, some over-the-top reporter or something like that.
Yeah,
And
they have a very, like, I've noticed lately, because on YouTube, I see clips of local news stations from all around the country, and I've noticed there's, like, a very specific tone and voice pattern that all of these news reporters have.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So something you don't know about me is my stepdad is the 30 years CBS news anchor here in Utah.
2 news this morning, so good you don't even need a napkin.
So he's the morning,
he's the guy.
afternoon, he's like the guy, right? Like, so I kept thinking about him and being like, this is not him. Like, it's not even. I know, it's so. Okay, let's get to the dialogue too, because again, remember, it could have been a bad day, whatever, but it just.
I think you're so off base here too, by the way.
You think I am?
Yeah, because this.
You think his performance was good?
No, because it's not supposed to be good. He's doing it on purpose.
Oh, it's not. No.
Yes.
You can be over the top and ridiculous, but still be good at it.
I understand.
No, you don't get it then.
I do get it.
No. Husband, no.
No, I disagree here.
Did it sound like Ron Burgundy? Is that what it sounded like?
That's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4 News. You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Okay, wait. You need to know this.
Yeah, we have to share this.
Yeah, we do. We'll have to share. Okay, so.
We have to, like, out his name, but you have to.
I know, I'm going to have to out his name, but he's a public figure here anyway.
Yes, that's fine.
So my stepdad's name is Ron Bird.
Oh, no.
Not Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, if you look at pictures of him, I'm not even kidding. I'll show you on the screen.
No, this is no joke.
When he first was working as a news anchor.
In the 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s.
Or 80s.
He looked exactly like Ron Burgundy in the movie, right?
Anchorman.
Exactly. So I am convinced that because you know that, okay.
Wow.
Because he was like an obscure guy in Idaho and then he went to Utah or whatever.
But it looks like him and his name is Ron Bird. Ron Burgundy. It looks like, I'm not even kidding. So having come from Hollywood, I know for a fact that writers and directors and the actors, like, they look for people in real life to kind of get a sense for what they're going to act like, what they're going to look like. I am absolutely convinced that they based Ron Burgundy off of my stepdad, Ron Burt. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
and I'll show you the pictures.
I mean, it was a good movie.
I'm not even saying like it's a coincidence. Usually I'd say, oh, chalk it up to that. Like, no, but this feels so similar to who he is, what he looked like, the style, the era. It's like, that's him. Usually I would say, no, Jolie, you're crazy. But
No, but it really sounds like, and you know what, while we're on the subject, let me throw another one in there. So Spencer and I, this doesn't have to do with Final Fantasy, but it's going to be a little attention.
This is totally not me, though.
It totally is.
You think it's the Sony animation?
Well, yes. Okay. So Spencer and I, years ago, so I had friends who worked at Sony Animation Studios. When I was a spokesperson for Disney, you know, you have connection with the animation companies, whatever. And they invited Spencer and me to go like spend a few hours with them at the studios when they were developing some show that some movie that we didn't know what it was called. And they walked us around. They gave us like some really nice VIP treatment. You know, they showed us.
Oh, it was awesome.
Where they animated everything. It was awesome. Because Spencer at the time was interested in animation and was, kind of working in that direction before he switched back into computer science. He's kind of done a bit of both. And I'm not even kidding you. So when we went there, Spencer had a big red like afro.
No, I didn't have an afro then.
They had seen your Facebook pictures.
Yes.
So Spencer in high school had a huge afro.
Yeah, because my hair was short when we saw him.
Yeah. So a few weeks later, they came out with the character designs for their newest movie, Transylvania, right?
Hotel Transylvania.
And they made a character who looked and dressed exactly like Spencer had during that trip to the studios. They will never say.
If you guys know that character, I have long red hair. You can't really tell right now. But you know who it is.
I'm not even kidding. But like even like the clothes, their animation team was rather small. We had just spent hours with them and they thought you were so cool.
I don't know if this is true, but
no, I am convinced that they were inspired by Spencer as a person to design that like redheaded character guy. I'm not even kidding you. No, they can never admit this. Like nobody could ever say this legally.
Sure.
Because then they have to like pay for likeness or something like that. Same thing with the Ron Bird thing. So these are not things that can be proved or proven, I guess.
Well, I remember Marcelo. He was one of the
very talented guy, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's the concept artist. Him and Armand, they're incredible artists, and he was showing me they were in the environmental design phase for Hotel Transylvania, and he's like, "This is for a movie that we're working on."
Yeah, but we didn't know what it was called. The characters are still being developed.
I don't know, but
yeah. So basically, that's two like famous characters that came out
basically
of my
just
family.
came out of our family.
I know. I don't. For some reason, nobody's made a character about me.
You're gonna say that.
You never know. Somebody out there's probably working on it right now.
It'd be some villain.
We're not narcissistic at all. We don't care about being famous.
Okay, anyway, so that's interesting that you don't think. Okay.
Well, I will give my reasons for Bernard, but please go into it because I don't think he's a good voice actor. So I'm going to agree with you on this point.
I know, but like I feel bad saying that because
it's fine.
He's got to be better than this performance. They probably just made him like do it super fast, and because we went. Remember when we interviewed the voice actors, like John and Brianna and those guys, like they told us the dubbing circumstances, and it's a miracle if you get any good performances out of those kind of circumstances.
Because sometimes you listen to Japanese line and it's long and you got like 4 or 5 words. And then sometimes you listen to the Japanese line and it'll be a line like this. But that's how we would deliver it. But that sounded like this! And it's like, how do you... And they've already done the mocap, because we don't do the mocap either. So now we have to translate what we're hearing, how long we have to say it. Like, you're right, it's a box. And then we have to look at what they did if we have it on camera, because sometimes we don't get it where they've already mocapped it or, rendered it. So we're just like, all right, how am I supposed to match that to this?
So I'm not really blaming the voice actor. I'm just telling you this particular performance.
I don't think this person would even care if you criticize this performance.
No, these are, you got to understand this, though, about voice actors.
They're people.
Like, they're human beings, right? You don't care about stuff.
I'm
but
not
like,
mocking.
Your career isn't voice acting. Like, actors are sensitive.
I think people will understand when you play the clips of who Bernard is.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to call out his name.
And what he sounds like.
You can't blame that on one person. There's absolutely a producer involved, right? Who listened to all those takes and said...
Yeah, they have a voice director.
You killed it, man. We're going to roll with that one.
Right. But I mean, I had a directing professor who said something very telling is 50% of good acting is good casting, right? Because if you cast somebody who doesn't have like a skill set, then they're never going to give the performance you want them to give. So you got to cast somebody. This is going way deeper into this poor voice actor who did Bernard. You guys.
Yeah, you are taking this way too seriously. That's the biggest problem.
I am. I didn't want to go this far into it. What I wanted to say about like the dialogue. So the dialogue is like,
yes,
they're trying to be funny, but it's not funny. It's stupid.
Talk about carnage, am I right? I'm lucky I got out of that match with my limbs intact.
And then if you beat him, then you have to listen to like more bad puns.
Today's shark is a ferocious man-eating menace. He made a serious splash with some ruthless moves.
He talks forever, too.
Yeah, he does.
You beat him, and I thought he was going to say like one sentence, and it's like, you have to listen to a whole monologue.
And it goes on forever. Yeah. And I was like, please let me escape.
Players the world over have got to be shaken in their boots. Something tells me this beast is about to upset the QB food chain. Better start swimming. Congratulations to you, sir, for an incredible match. Though we found the canyon's resident shark, the fun never ends on this show. Stay tuned because we've got more coming your way.
Like I could not escape. So the dialogue probably contributed to a cringy situation, but man, like, you know, rough days in the recording studio kind of live forever. So I just...
I don't think they care.
Okay. I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad.
No, actors are sensitive people, and I don't want him to, like...
He's not going to care.
Ever get wind of this and think that, like, he should just end his career, right? This wasn't the win, you know?
You're making it seem like he's, like, a main character in this game, and, like, he totally botched this performance. Like, he's, like, a weird... It's not even like he's some newscaster guy. It's, like, some guy who's going around doing his own independent thing, and he, like, hired a camera guy, and he's like, we follow Clean's Blood, and we talk all about, like, you know, and he gives his dumb, like, newscaster...
That doesn't have anything to do with the performance.
He made a serious splash with some ruthless moves.
Sure, but it's like, he's not being, like...
I know he's not playing it straight.
No. He sounds like he's a guy who's not really good at what he does, and he's pretending to be someone or whatever, and it's just coming off as, like, ridiculousness.
Yeah, but I don't think that's because he's purposefully...
Right, so...
I don't want to say more mean things. I just don't.
I think it's terrible, too. I listened to it, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But every Queen's Blood character, you play a chocobo and a dog, Jolie. Like, everyone that you play...
Yeah, and their performances were good.
No, I mean, there's weird drunk people. There's a guy who's like a gold statue. There's
it's not meant to be taken seriously, but that doesn't mean that the acting...
Sure, the performance was good.
Yeah, that's totally separate.
I understand, but like you're taking this too seriously because he's just being some ridiculous dude.
No, I only wrote 2 bullet points on my list of things to talk about. We've already hashed this out for way longer than I wanted.
Sure, but what I'm saying is it's like...
I should never have said anything. It's not worth it.
Nobody cares about...
I know nobody cares.
I agree with you.
I care.
Right, I know you care about the voice acting.
I care because in 16...
Yeah, everyone's great.
Every NPC is amazing.
Sure.
Even the funny ones.
Right.
They're good. There's not a lot of funny ones, to be honest. Like, that game is pretty depressing. But...
I was about to say, that was a very depressing game.
I don't mean to be gloomy.
They don't have this lighthearted tone, and it's like Bernard is like a joke of a character, and so I just write him off as like, you sound crazy.
Yeah, so you don't care is basically it.
I want to get out of this.
You don't care.
Yes, so what you're saying might be true, but it's like...
But you don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, it matters to me and only me, so there you have it, whatever.
No, I get it.
This reminds me a lot of the whole discussion around, does Cloud really speak Chocobo, or are they just, pulling our leg?
No, that was like, I was like, anyway, we won't even go there. That was like, I remember like people, this is so funny too. There were a couple people who were like, you are so mean to Ernest.
Yeah, everyone's like, Jolie's so mean to Ernest.
Because of that conversation. Your conclusion is, there's nothing there, therefore, it must be funny. And it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek. It's not funny.
I was cracking up when I watched it.
It's bad writing. It doesn't make sense. There's a giant hole.
In Ernest, wait.
There's a giant hole.
In Ernest's defense, it is hilarious.
It's a Cosmo Canyon-sized hole.
Okay, Jolie, okay. But like, in Ernest's defense, it is hilarious that Cloud is doing this.
It's hilarious, but not intentionally.
No, it's hilarious because they are being serious.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying.
Well, see, and I took it a completely different way.
Yes, you did.
Not in the way of an actual animal whisperer.
They think I'm like so hateful.
And I'm like, you guys don't understand. They've been friends for years.
I know. I'm like, can't we disagree? Like, yes, I'm very passionate and dramatic, right?
I was going to say, like, I've known you for years and years. Like, I think people, their lens is much shorter, right?
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know.
And, well, it's funny, too, because if, like, you click into their profile, which we would never do because we have so much more time on our hands, but if you
Nice, Joe.
click on their profile, like, they watch, how do I say, like manosphere stuff. So I think having anyone like me pushing back on anyone like you is especially difficult for them to see.
Don't let
perhaps.
a woman speak her mind.
I know. And which is funny because I never like pull that like the girl card, but when you look at people's like profiles and stuff, you're like, oh, maybe it actually is that. That's kind of crazy. It's so crazy. That's okay. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be mean to you forever, Ernest.
No, actually, that's a good point, right? Like, you never want to be in a room where everyone agrees with you.
No.
Critical thinking.
You want people to disagree because you want other opinions, because as a human being, you can't know everything and you don't know where your blind spots are.
I like that. You don't know where your blind spots are. Like Spencer doesn't realize his blind spot with Bernard, and I'm here to teach him.
Oh, wow.
I don't care because it's a Queen's Blood voice actor.
That's her blind spot right there.
That's fair.
If you're ever in a room where everyone agrees with you, you're in a cult. Just to point that out.
You're in planetology.
Everyone should disagree on something. I don't care what it is. Like, you don't like the color pink? Great. I love, whatever the case is.
You don't like the color pink, you and not my friend.
Mhm.
Just kidding. Okay, so anyway, back to the game. So
shout out Bernard.
Shut up, dude. I hate you.
Nice job, Bernie.
Way to go, dude.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so after the shark ate my soul.
Nice segue.
It's bad. I know. My segues sometimes I'm like, nope.
No, that was good.
Oh, thanks. Now you agree with me, I guess. Okay. Okay, so at that point, I'm done with Bernard. I go to the observatory elevator, right?
Yeah, where we see Nanaki run up.
Yeah, we saw Nanaki, and we've done everything.
Because it literally frames the camera where you have to stop and look out in the distance.
You have to see it.
And you have to see that Nanaki goes up.
Exactly. And I think I remember the Nanaki, when he rode the elevator, it was like crazy fast. Like, Artemis 2 fast.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, like they just dropped the counterweight and he just like flew up. And you're like, whoa.
And they do that in, games because they know that the gamer doesn't want to sit there and watch things like move really slow. But I think I remember that being the case. But anyway, so yes, I got to the observatory elevator. And the elevator, when you ride on it, it is slow, actually. It takes, like, when Cloud is on it, like your party. Do you remember this? It goes up forever. And I think that's cool. I'm glad they didn't cut back on that because it really gives the impression that this observatory is at the top of one of these really tall, like, red peaks far away from the rest of the village.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of a nice touch, if you will.
It reminded me a lot of, and I know people are going to, especially our OG viewers are going to laugh at this. It reminded me a lot of that long elevator ride you take up in the Shinra building.
Oh, sure.
Where you're in there and
it takes forever.
People are getting in and out like nothing's going, like they're like, what is going on? And it's used forever before you get to the top floor.
You pick the elevator or the stairs. Did you know that, Ernest? Did you?
I knew you could do stairs because in that amazing lobby area, by the way, I did a lot of stairs in there, but I did choose to take the elevator up and I was cracking up because here's like this party decked out with weapons everywhere and like
nobody's like thinking twice.
They're getting in and out in like their work attire, their suits and their, whatever. And it's just hilarious. And it takes forever to get to the top floor.
Yeah, that's a good comparison because that does take a long time. And then the stairs, I don't know if you remember this, but John Eric Bentley, who voices Barrett, do you remember this, Ernest, when we had the voice actor panel with them at Mag West?
They tell you, okay, John, we got to fill in this part right here. You're going up an elevator. And you got to come up with some words. Or you're going upstairs and we want to hear your breath, but we want you to say some stuff. Go.
Another day, another struggle. Climbing stairs, so much trouble.
That was where John had to do all the improv lines. Like where he just had to act like he was really, really tired the more they went up. That was kind of a fun scene, I think.
Yeah. That is awesome, though.
And then after walking the upper path, once you get off the elevator, right? You only hear that sound of the wind, which we mentioned in a past episode. And then at that point, we encounter Nanaki at the top of the cliffs, and he's talking to an old man with a bald head and like long white braided mustache, wearing an oversized purple robe, and then floating on what looks like a giant teal materia orb. And those of us who have played the original game and remember doing so at least, we were expecting to meet this character here, right? This is Bugenhagen. He's an iconic part of the OG's Cosmo Canyon. But I am curious, so Spencer, since you've never played the original game, and Ernest, I'm sure you remember this character, but like I know you have like vague recollections.
I remember him vaguely, but not like in detail.
But not like really well? Okay, cool. So I'm curious like what your first impressions were of this particular character, especially given the fact that he's like floating around on some big orb. Because like for somebody like me who's played the OG and remembers him well, like the orb doesn't really jump out. But I remember thinking, I wonder what people who haven't played the OG are thinking, like that there's this orb he floats around it, but nobody ever says anything about it. It's just like accepted, you know? Like, I don't know.
He's like 111 years old, so I'm guessing he can't walk around anymore.
Does he say how old he is?
No, but I was just a guess.
He just looks like it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Touche. I was like, since we know Nanaki's age, I mean, why not Bugenhagen's?
For me, like when I met Bugenhagen, to be clear to the audience, I'm what you might call terminally online, and I listen to gaming podcasts, but I've never played the OG, but I like absorb information through osmosis, right? Through listening to other things. So I listen to a lot of Min-Max stuff, and they're big Final Fantasy VII fans there. The guy, Ben Hansen, like he'll talk about Bugenhagen as if like he's his actual grandpa. And he's like, Bugenhagen is like this awesome guy, but I never knew who that was, right? And then I had seen like OG pictures of him like floating on the orb, but I'd like never played it, right? So I already had like this idea of this person in my mind a little bit, so I wasn't going in completely blind. But I remember seeing him, and I have like this idea in my head. They're speaking about him before we see him. They're like, fellow Bugenhagen. They keep saying things. He's up here or something.
Is fellow Bugenhagen gonna come down today?
And then you go and you meet him. He's floating on this materia orb or something. You know, that's what I'm like assuming it is or whatever. And I'm thinking, this guy's like a prophet. Like this guy is the head of everything, right? So I just was like, oh, and he has this personal relationship with Nanaki, with Red. So it's like touching and endearing, and it kind of humanizes him in a way. But yeah, so my first impressions were like, okay, this guy is definitely an important character because he's not just an NPC. He's literally riding on this, you know, fortune teller ball or whatever, you know? So I was just like, okay, I'm in for it. Like this is story stuff because this is a main character, basically.
Okay, cool. So you were accepting of it.
And I'd heard a lot of stuff about him, so I was just like, yeah. But when I think he's actually, I don't know if Bugenhagen is in the Rebirth reveal trailer or something, but they do a part of that cinematic scene that we'll talk about later in the episode. I think that's in the trailer. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to this moment. And I could be wrong. I don't know if Bugenhagen himself is like in frame. I know that shot. I can see Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith's face when it gets lit up, when the Planetarium or Observatory turns on or whatever.
Okay.
It's hilarious because I saw him on the orb, and I kind of defaulted to, for whatever reason, that it was like an assistive device because he was so old he couldn't walk, and so that's how he got around.
Oh, like it's like his wheelchair?
Exactly. That's like immediately what I thought of, and it just kind of like let it go because I was like, well, yeah, he's like 100 and something years old, 120 years old. He can't walk anymore, so that.
And why not a big sphere of materia?
Yeah,
you know,
just right on top of that. And well, I mean, if you are that senior of a planetologist, I would assume that you figured out how to break physics, right? So that's what he was doing.
Maybe so. Okay, cool. I don't know. I thought he was cool. I mean, as somebody who knew the character from the OG, to be honest, I thought they did a phenomenal job designing him here in Rebirth. Although I have read some comments where people like totally disagree with that, which I would say is surprising, except it's the internet. So you're going to get every opinion.
For me, the design was great. Like the character model and the art, all that was great. But the voice definitely annoyed me.
Really? Somebody else said that too in comments.
And it wasn't even the voice. The voice was fine.
So what was it?
It was the constant hoo, 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 hoo.
Oh, like his little laugh.
Yes.
The way that he laughs at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're somebody who like pays really close attention to that right up front. The thing is he does that in the OG. Because like whenever he starts a phrase or a paragraph or whatever speech, it's always hoo 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 or something like that at the beginning. So they carried that over. That's why it's here. But if I didn't know that, it would have been more nails on a chalkboard, I think.
Oh, it drove me nuts. I was like so annoyed by it. But I mean, I would never blame that on the voice actor. I think that's just
right. He was required to do it that way.
Right.
I'm sure.
They was required to do it. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
he's no Bernard.
The art was great. The character model was amazing. I love the animation and him moving around and stuff. That it was that little hoo 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 he was constantly doing.
His chirping.
Because the first couple of times he did it, it was like, okay, I get it, right? We don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
But then later on, when you get into like some
serious stuff,
very intense and serious stuff, he's still doing it. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's constant. It's like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a fair take. But I just think like you can tell they put so much work into his design, right? Because we're seeing close-ups of him and he has like these wrinkles and sunspots on his skin and like
yeah, it's very defined.
He even has like cataracts in his eyes.
Yep.
Right? Like he's got so many details, his movements, the colors, the threading on his robes. I thought the threading on his robes is really cool. I don't know. People are like, the threading. Like, let us all pause. But it was cool.
This is main character detail, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as a matter of fact, the first thing that came to mind with his outfit was like, oh, this is a Harry Potter type, like.
It's kind of wizard-esque.
Wizard-esque, yeah.
He is kind of like a wizard.
It wasn't like Gandalf wizard.
Like a Merlin, kind of, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a cartoon Merlin, maybe?
He's totally that archetype.
An old school Merlin from the movie Excalibur.
Like a scholarly Merlin.
Yeah, anyway, I thought he was designed cool. So basically, Nanaki sees us approach, and he's the one who introduces us.
These are the friends I was talking about.
And then Bugenhagen looks at us, and he gives that little laugh.
Yeah,
which
that Ernest loves.
Thank you for looking after Nanaki. My name is Bugenhagen. I teach planetology here in the canyon. One could say I know a thing or two about our world.
And Nanaki is especially quick to sing Bugenhagen's praises.
A thing or two? I doubt there's a thing or two you don't know about it.
Well, it might seem that way to a child like yourself.
And that's when we officially learn that our new friend Nanaki may seem younger than Marty McFly to us. He's actually the ripe ancient age of...
I'm 48.
40 what? Which totally shocks Tifa. Do you remember this? She was like...
I don't remember her response.
48! Like, she like flips out.
That's awesome.
Which is hilarious because... So original Red, before the personality switch, in my opinion, to Nanaki, seems like he actually could have been 48.
I owe you a debt until it's paid. I'm going to accompany you.
Yeah, like he seems like old and wise.
Yeah, so if this reveal had come...
So it wouldn't be surprising.
Without the voice change and everything, then there would be no reason for Tifa to freak out unless she really freaks out over anyone who's 48 because to her, that's ancient. So
they're all like in their 20s.
I was going to say that's the point. Like when someone's in their like late teens, early 20s, someone who's 48 is ancient. And then someone who's 48 is looking back and they're like, you've been alive a blink of an eye. What do you know?
We're not the only ones who thought this too. I have a YouTube comment here. It's really quick. But the Collector Cave said, Tifa, and then quotes, 40 what? Exclamation points, multiple question marks.
That's awesome.
And then laughy cry face, that must be discussed. Because
that's so good.
Dang, to be so old. It's 48.
Theoretically, if he was a human, even though he's not, he would be the only adult in I guess Barrett's an adult, but he would be the eldest in the group.
He would be the oldest, because he's definitely older than Barrett, right? Not as old as Bugenhagen.
Right.
But older than Barrett, right? But then back in this scene, so it's also worth noting that Nanaki's newfound, lack of maturity really starts to solidify here. I'm really trying not to rehash things that we've talked about in the past.
That's fine.
I'm pushing past him, even though I want to, open more cans, but I will not.
We know you hate it.
I do.
You won me over. It's fine. I agree with you.
It just really starts to show that he lacks maturity in this moment.
Nanaki here has a long life ahead of him. In human terms, I would say he's about 15 or 16 years old.
That's more than old enough. I can protect our veil and everyone in it.
Remember how he makes that claim?
Like he's old enough. I'm like, I'm old
Yeah.
enough to do that, yeah.
Which is funny because, again, I totally believed that about Red, but only after knowing Nanaki for a hot second, I wouldn't trust him to protect a raw egg.
Yeah.
Nope. And we have
Yeah.
another comment here, it looks like. So Bernardo Mason Daher.
Wait, Bernard?
Oh,
He wrote in.
he is
I'm
not.
kidding.
Can you imagine? So not. No, this
It's
is
Bernard.
Bernardo. Sorry, Bernardo.
I'm teasing.
That Spencer is associating you in ways you may or may not wish to be associated. I don't know. Anyway, Bernardo's comment, he says, let's see, Bugenhagen is a very interesting character to me. He is both a cultural and intellectual figurehead in the world of the story, but I wish I got to see more of this relationship history with Nanaki. The parent-child relationship is something we hardly see in the whole narrative. Barrett and Marlene are priceless, but she is still young, whereas Nanaki is almost half a century old. He has experience with major trauma, and Bugenhagen seems to have been present in many ways for him. Get it, at the same time, the developers also seem to question him with his characterization. He doesn't seem senile or direct. I wonder what it is about him as an institution there is to question. It reminds me of Maester Mika in Final Fantasy X. Okay, so if you don't know, Mika, if I remember right, in Final Fantasy X, he's like the spiritual leader in that game. He's like revered as a peaceful kind of stabilizing influence in the world. And in the game, Mika he's like wise, grandfatherly, he's really polite.
I have no desire to watch Spira die.
Whereas Bugenhagen seems I don't know, for me, he seems a lot more jolly and stubborn.
A fascinating account, were it true.
There are some similarities there, I think, for sure. So this is also where we are first introduced to Nanaki's real backstory. So he kind of touched on, like, I want to be a Watcher of the Veil, whatever, but this is where we actually start to hear about the dislike he has for his father. So he says,
I can protect our veil and everyone in it. Which is more than I can say for my good-for-nothing father.
and okay, I get what the developers are trying to do with this story here. Like, they're setting up Nanaki's little mini arc that he has with the upcoming dungeon, right? Because they haven't done any of that yet. So they don't have much time. They've got to, like, cram it in here. But
well, they have to, like, character build him because he's a new character.
He's a new character, exactly.
And they're like, we have to introduce this whole plot to the team. Yeah, you're totally right.
100%, right?
Because they have to start right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes.
I just don't care.
Yeah, you don't buy it.
I don't give a flying crap. It feels like this backstory about hating his coward father is shoehorned into our faces. Because, like, think about it. Okay, so Red, I won't go into this for too long, I promise, but Red has been our companion since the last few chapters of Remake, and then through all 10 chapters thus far of Rebirth, and we're just getting our first hints of his backstory now? Like, they couldn't have teased or foreshadowed to the audience that Red was struggling with something during this time. Like, yeah, even if I were to accept the character's, like, psychological justification, right? Like, Ernest mentioned some ideas of why he might have changed his voice or hidden his backstory or like wanted to hide his age and his entire personality, whatever. I don't accept any of that. But if I were to accept that, fine, but that doesn't mean the developers could not have foreshadowed something, like at least made us aware that there was something Red didn't want us to know. Like, we don't need to go into depth on what it is, but just hint at it. Like, for instance, and okay, let me just spitball something here. So Barrett is always talking about being a father throughout the game, right? This is me coming up with ideas off the top of my head. But in all the chapters leading up to this, could we not have, because there were a lot of chapters, lots of time, and there were lots of instances, main story and side quests, where the father thing was brought up. Like, could we not have seen Red in some of those instances, even if it's like once or twice, do something as simple as even like look away in shame or something whenever fatherhood is mentioned? Like, somehow connect the dots for the audience that the topic of father does not sit well with him for some reason. Nothing spelled out, right? Nothing spelled out like we talked about in the last episode, but like subtle foreshadowing that would have been, frankly, pretty nice and helpful. Like maybe you could even, if you want to take it further, you could have Red say something subtle about how not all fathers are as worthy as Barrett or something like that. You know, like something.
Right. There are opportunities to dive into this before Cosmo Canyon.
Before Cosmo Canyon, right? Something with subtext that tells us, like, wait, this doesn't seem like the Red that we know. Something must be bothering him, you know? Nothing obvious.
Yeah.
And then when we learn that he has these daddy issues here in chapter 10, we can be like, oh, that's what was going on, right? Like, I don't know. I would argue that it would have also made Red's character all the more interesting and multi-leveled to see him struggling with something, because we never really see Red struggle with anything like mentally or emotionally before he time machines himself into a toddler with all kind of emotional insecurities. Like, we just don't see it.
It is weird, right? And then, like you said, there were many times, even before we had his voice change, right? Like you said, it could have been something as simple as him saying in his wise voice, Marlene is very fortunate to have a father who loves her like you do.
Yes, that's great.
Something like that.
Yes, Ernest.
It doesn't really touch it, but then later on, you're like, that's why he said that.
Yes, I agree with that.
Or even if they wanted to go the route that they kind of use in the game where like Red talks to Aerith earlier and we get a glimpse of that as the audience member, right? Where it's like Aerith kind of knows that Red's this type of person where like, oh, you're such a sweetie, it's such a softie.
He's such a softie.
They could have done some things where if we're going to have dialogue with him speaking to Aerith, he could act vulnerable or talk about certain things in those moments, right?
Yeah.
I like Ernest's solution better. But this is why I agree with you, because the code switch or the change to the new personality, it's like not only do we reveal that he is younger and all these things, it's like, oh, he was lying to the party the whole time, but it's like we have to be reintroduced to this new character and take on all this baggage from him, right? And we're supposed to care, right? It's like, it just doesn't feel like earned, and we have to be like, oh, sure, let's just hop on board with this. And sorry, you've never mentioned it, Red.
No!
It's the second time they rug pull us with the same character.
Yeah.
They kind of do it again, because they're like, be on board.
Which is more than I can say for my good-for-nothing father.
It adds fuel to the fire of this new character, right? Because, like, not only does he have a different voice, a different personality, he's a different age than we thought.
I'm 48.
But, like, oh, this character has its own unique backstory, too. Like, of course he does.
And trauma that you don't know about.
Right.
I mean, I guess he's masking that, but yeah, I agree.
And I'm going to be honest, I do not care. I don't care. Nanaki and his motivations and his daddy issues, whatever, they have not earned any of my sympathies or my empathies or any kind of these. I don't know who this is. I don't care that he doesn't like his daddy. It's all only mildly curiosity invoking to me at best and annoying force-fed writing at second best. Like, it's just, okay. And also, if we're going to, dive into it, there's the sloppy dialogue too. So where he just like openly trauma dumps on us, this like father problem that we've never known anything about. Like nobody asked him anything about his family or like his issues. We were just talking to him about how old he was. And it was like, this is my age. I hate my dad. Like, it was just.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
That's more than old enough. I can protect our veil and everyone in it. Which is more than I can say for my good-for-nothing father.
It's like, okay, thanks for that. I feel like if Nanaki had social media, he'd be that guy who would write about his personal family drama to all the strangers on the internet. Like, have some shame, child. Did you learn nothing from Shawnee and her mom? Like, it's just
nice.
He's a moody teenager, literally.
Yeah, but he's 48 years old too.
Well, I mean, right.
I know.
Honestly, had they not changed his voice and personality, this may have worked better. Like, it worked fine for me in the OG. Because first, okay, I would care more about him because he wouldn't feel like some imposter, right? And then second, it wouldn't feel like this overshare to strangers because he wouldn't feel like a stranger, right? Especially if they had done some foreshadowing, like we were talking about, like Ernest was mentioning, or something along those lines. Like, to me, it just felt like the writers needed to quickly force feed us some of Nanaki's emotional trauma so that the upcoming dungeon reveal would make sense, you know?
Yes.
The thing is that this arc is a trope, right? It's like when you're young, you don't understand, right? And if you're fortunate enough, you will adore your parents or your father. And then there becomes a point later when you're an adult and you realize they're fallible, like everyone else on this planet.
Right.
And then you get old enough to realize, despite that, they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's this arc that happens in a fathership arc. And I feel like they could have done this a lot better.
Well, and they're going for that, right? And we'll get to that in later episodes. But like the problem is that they have to front load so much trauma and they dump it all on you because they haven't done any of the work before.
Yes.
Right. So that's so true. Now that I'm thinking about it and the stuff leading up to it, it's like everything that comes out of Red's mouth, like he just needs to be criticizing his dad, like constantly.
Because there's only so many lines.
Because if it doesn't work.
So they didn't do themselves a favor by starting that earlier in some form or fashion, right? I don't know if like they felt like they couldn't reveal it because maybe it would give the voice and age reveal away or something.
Yes, that's what it is.
But I don't think I wouldn't have been like.
I don't think it's that. Everybody has a father regardless if you're 100 years old, right?
Sure.
So that doesn't make sense.
But like, why else would they withhold that? It was weird.
They withheld it because it all in service to this dumb voice change thing.
Yeah.
That's why they did it.
I know, but it's so.
Because they wanted it to be like he can't.
Shooting themselves in the foot.
You know, he's hiding it. He has this veneer of this wise dog who knows what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And he can't mention any of his vulnerabilities because when he does, then he just trauma dumps.
Yeah.
This is one of those areas that the imbalance kind of gets to me, right? It's like, because when something like this happens, I immediately question, is this one of those things where like, because of budget or time constraints, they like chopped out a significant portion of it or...
Maybe.
And you don't know, right? We don't know.
Sure.
But then I go back and I think, how many times was I pushing a damn vacuum cleaner around in a cave? And it's like, they should have cut that. Right?
Yes.
Right.
And built the story out. And so like the imbalance there is just like, what happened?
But they are not going to do it. They purposely hid it until this moment.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And it's bad because they're forced to do it because they want this surprise that red is not red.
Even if that were true, Ernest, like let's say that there was a whole foreshadowing like scene, right? In like chapter 4 or something that they had to chop, right? They should have known, oh, if we're going to chop this, we need to stick a line in here or there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that doesn't even take extra animation. It's just a couple extra lines. But anyway, we'll get into this more as the game goes along because there'll be another part of this game when we have to talk about it. There's just no getting away from the Nanaki backstory as much as you want to. And maybe I sound heartless, but okay, and maybe I don't even need to specify this, but if I met like a real human stranger who trauma dumped on me like this, which has actually happened multiple times in my life to me. And Spencer and I like tend to be magnets for people who need to emotionally unload. So that's okay. We're happy to be that supportive person. Like when somebody comes to me with their trauma dump, like it's a bit of a brow raiser maybe at first, but I have like a lot of sympathy for that person and like the struggles that they've gone through and all of that. And I try to help them or like at least love them the best that I could to try to make them feel better. But Nanaki is not a real person. He is a fictional character, and he was created by developers who volunteered to tell me a story. So if they want my sympathies, they have to earn them with good storytelling. So for anybody who thinks I'm a jerk, just know that I'm a jerk to this fictional character for good reasons, right? Anyway, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't earned.
I don't think it was.
I mean, we already felt bad for him because he was a prisoner of Hojo's lab.
Yeah, he experimented on all these things.
Yeah.
So like we already felt bad for him. Like it's not like we need to feel more bad for him.
Yeah, it just.
But it's because they have to set up this story that's going to happen.
And that's what I think. That compressed timeline always makes me question, like, why was this so fast? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, it's just they held on to it whenever. It's so dumb. Anyway. From there, so then Bugenhagen just chuckles again. Now I'm always going to think of you, Ernest.
Yeah, good job, Ernest.
Yeah, and then, this is also funny because, like, nobody responds to Nanaki's outburst. And then our party is like, it's like, I hate my dad. And everyone's like, okay, moving on, you know? Like, nobody says anything.
Which is more than I can say for my good-for-nothing father.
And then our party's invited into Bugenhagen's observatory.
Speaking of the members of our little community, Have you announced your return to one and all, Nanaki?
Not yet. Be right back.
But where are my manners? Please, come in and have a look around.
That's when we first can take control of Cloud again to enter the observatory. And I will just say, and I imagine you guys agree with me, but tell me if you don't. The design of this location, the observatory, is amazing.
It is so good.
It's so good,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah. I put whoever the environmental artists were, nailed this whole place.
100%.
Because, like, as a job as, like, an artist, there's a lot of environmental artists that have to, like, set up certain scenes and stuff. And Cosmo Canyon, the village down below was incredible. And then you go up the elevator, and then the Cosmo Canyon music stops playing as you ride up the elevator.
Yes.
And then you get to look over the whole canyon, and it's just the wind and, you know, like your thoughts, and you might hear some background NPC. But then you go into the observatory, and the amount of books scattered everywhere, and, you know, like the scientific machinery. It's funny, last time we were talking, you know, how it felt so kind of more religious than scholarly, but Ernest was like,
now it feels more scholarly.
now that I got to this point, I'm like, this feels like a total shift. Like, this is the scholarly stuff, you know? They've got, like, a scale of the planet and the cosmos. They've got a device that records the fluctuations of the planet, you know? They have all these things, and they let you sit and click on each one of them. You can interact with them, and you've got an NPC next to you that's telling you things about these devices.
That's a scale model of our planet and the surrounding stars. One could say the dust it's collected represents the people who live upon it.
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow, we're learning some stuff.
Like, they put time into this.
You have, like, a chalkboard with math equations that look like Interstellar, like they're trying to solve the problem of gravity and all this stuff.
E equals MC squared.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a vibe of like what it was like back when Galileo was alive, but in this universe.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you notice the steampunk influence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot of that. It's all over the place, right? It's like featuring a number of retro kind of futuristic devices. There's a bunch of those everywhere. I mean, steampunk basically blends Victorian era aesthetics with steam-powered technology, I guess, is what it really is.
Yeah.
And especially in the upper rooms. But you know how like things are gold and kind of look a little...
Yeah, gold and brass and some sort of,
older, mechanical, right? Not digital so much, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. The visual storytelling was so good. And it's also teaching us, right, about this elderly planetology researcher, Bugenhagen, who's the seeker of knowledge. This is the proof. This is the reason that he is recognized the way he is.
Yeah, this whole environment lends credibility to these people, right? Just walking in and just looking around, it's like, yeah, okay, I trust you because you're obviously doing stuff. This isn't just for show.
Yeah. Like, there's, like you said, there's piles of books, there's models of planets, there's chalkboards with the math equations like you're talking about.
Yeah, they have raw materia. You can go see, like...
That's right.
It's like geology stuff, but it's like, these are all the, like, raw materia. They call it raw materia.
But there's also, like, musical instruments and typewriters, which I thought was really interesting. There's, like, notes tacked up on walls. The woodwork is really kind of dark, rich, brown kind of designs on the walls and the pillars. Like, you can tell that there's like this fine attention to beauty while still prioritizing knowledge over cleanliness, right? Like someone who just can't get enough of the knowledge there is out there.
Right. And to your point about the steampunk and the brass, it was like explicitly non-electric.
Yes, mechanical.
Which is like explicitly non-Shinra,
non-Mako.
Non-Mako, yeah.
Yes.
Right. But did you see one of the researchers had like a tablet?
No, I didn't.
He does have one. Everyone else is like all steampunky, but then it's right before you walk up the stairs on the first floor, and he totally has like, it's like green too. Like the screen is like a Mako glow tablet. Anyway, but yeah.
It's like the mayor in Under Junon. Remember how she had a tablet too?
Yep. It's probably just one of those, but it's funny.
But everything else is like old and falling apart, but she's got like an iPad.
Yeah, but
if that isn't a commentary on modern society, I don't know what is.
Oh, so there's a comment here from Hannah Zelinska 449 says, Cosmo Canyon Village and Observatory are so beautiful. I love them. The colors, the textures, the atmosphere and the details, the cluttered but charming observatory. I made so many screenshots there. So she was doing snaps things.
Yeah.
All over that place.
She was using that PlayStation camera capture button.
Probably sharing them on social media too, which is exactly what they want. So
Snaps taught her.
They should thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
And it's cool that we're supposed to just explore explore these rooms. Like, that's our actual story objective at this point, right? Is to look around, discover and learn, and then paint that picture in our mind of who Bugenhagen is without someone having to stand there and like tell us about him verbally. They're doing it visually, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it works great.
You know what it reminds me of? Did either of you ever play those games Myst or Riven?
Yes, I did.
No, I never played those.
Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed.
Yes, it's very Myst-like.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, or like I played Loom. Do you remember Loom?
Yes.
This is the work of that demon boy. We should kill him while we still can.
But Myst is probably a better comparison here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to like observe everything and it tells a visual story and that's how you solve the puzzles.
That's cool.
Right, and then you have to interact with the environment.
I think, Spencer, you've played the Walkabout mini golf version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, that's a good comparison. It feels like that. Because, like, you have to interact with the environment. That's the story objective. Like, we touch a pile of books. Remember that? And then they fall?
Right.
Whoa. Those devices are testing the pull of gravity.
It's actually a really cute thing. And this is where I'm liking Bugenhagen, because every time you click on something, he will come over and explain what it's for.
He comes and tells you.
Right? And like if you go over to the device that looks like, what's the earthquake thing that...
Oh, yeah, the seismometer.
Yeah, something like that.
He has one of those, and he's talking about how he's like, yeah, that records the fluctuations of the planet, and this does that. This is a scale of our star. But then when he gets to the books and it falls down, he's like, that's a device for testing gravity. And it seems to be working fine or something, you know. Anyway, go ahead, Ernie.
The whole thing about listening to the planet, do you know what it reminded me of? During COVID, this was fascinating to me. Early on, when like the world locked down and people weren't driving, weren't flying, weren't, doing any of that, scientists were like measuring all this stuff in certain areas in India that had never been able to see the mountain were now able to see it because the pollution wasn't there.
That's cool.
But one of the really cool things was because there was so little, call it noise on the planet, the scientists were quote unquote hearing even more minor earthquakes that they never could hear before because the noise floor of the planet is just so high during normal, like human, whatever we do.
Activity or whatever we're doing.
And it was like stuff that had that not happened, they never would have been able to see that.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wasn't that a weird time?
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. But that is like, it does have that scholarly feel when you're going in this observatory.
It does. And although, so was anybody, okay, there was one NPC that kind of confused me. There was like a planetologist who was like moving around all weird. Did you see this? And he was like.
Was it the Materia guy?
Well.
He's kind of like talking to it.
Yeah,
he's all weird.
It wasn't Materia. It was like a rock. He was polishing a rock, I guess.
That's the Materia.
No, it's a rock.
No, the raw Materia is rock.
Oh.
And they, so that's what I'm saying, right? Yes, that's the guy.
But it doesn't change the fact that he was like, ooh.
Yeah, he is like my precious kind of.
Like, I couldn't tell if they were trying to be funny with him.
Like you're singing to me of the planet's wisdom. Don't you worry, my dear. I'll find a way to bring out the full depths of your beauty. Cross my heart.
I don't know. It raised one of my eyebrows. I was like...
Yeah, he was kind of obsessing over it.
And I couldn't see what he was holding at first, and the dialogue didn't really allude to what it was at first either, so I just heard this like, oh, you're so nice, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, what is going on?
Well, they make a comment to tell you that the raw Materia is the crystallized memories of the live stream, right?
Right, they do say that.
While that may appear to be little more than a glistening mineral at a glance, it is in fact a crystallized collection of our planet's memories.
That's a big theme going on, it's like we use materia for combat, but it's also just they are crystallized memories,
Yeah, so that's interesting. And then if you go up the stairs where Tifa and Aerith are also looking around.
I like them.
So it's cool because our party members are also fascinated like we are with this location.
Because they're looking at things on the bottom floor, but then they also are doing that on each floor. They find some new thing. And they do that animation where they're like inquisitive, checking out whatever they're doing. Yeah. And they just kind of do that.
Which is funny because like if you were to actually go to a place like that, you'd probably just be like.
Yeah, just standing there.
But they can't just do that. It's got to be like.
Yeah.
You
got to look at all the angles.
You got to really sell it, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also like that hologram of Nanaki who like kind of waves at us, I guess.
You recognize that little scamp? I'll have you know that in his childhood, Nanaki was quite a handful.
He also describes, I remember, there's a little device on the table.
That is one of the first Mako detectors ever built.
And,
Though I suspect it can't detect much now.
It does actually look like an older version of the Mako Rita reuse later in a side quest called From Whence Life Flows.
This really interests me, though, because he's like, that's one of the first Mako detectors we ever had, right? And it starts activating and, like, making noise. And then Bugenhagen says something like,
Though I suspect it can't detect much now.
But it's like when Cloud was really close to it. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's like a nod.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Oh, no, I bet you're right. I bet that was totally intentional.
But I was like, oh, Cloud is just drowning in Mako, right? So I just felt like...
You're totally right.
That's exactly what I thought.
And Bugenhagen's like, oh, it doesn't work anymore.
See, I'm the idiot who's like, yeah, it doesn't work.
And I'm like, oh, it is picking up on Mako.
I thought the exact same thing. But what's funny, though, is I figured that Bugenhagen would have been able to recognize in Cloud's eyes that he was a soldier and Mako enhanced, but maybe not.
He doesn't say anything, at least.
He's either blind.
His cataracts.
Or this is an ongoing theme with what goes on with Bugenhagen. We'll talk more. It's like, you thought that he would have noticed, but then maybe he's not as smart as he proclaims. It's interesting.
Right. Like maybe he's trapped in his own box of thinking that he's not able to accept something like that.
Yeah, he admits that later.
Yeah, he does. And we'll talk about that in a bit here. But another thing you pointed out was, do you remember he points out like a hot air balloon looking thing with like a giant propeller blade on it?
That right there is a type of a current generator. It harnesses the power of the wind to produce new airflows of its own. Perhaps you've encountered them before during your travels.
Do you guys recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What's it from, Ernest?
The last time you got trauma dumped over there in the Chocobo. When we first came in, and the lady was spilling all the family dirty laundry.
That's exactly right. It's the Chocobo gliding courses, right?
Yeah.
They were these giant floating fans that, you know, to me were much more terrifying than Chocobo feet, but whatever.
That's right.
I looked up and saw the feet, the claws coming right at me. Every time I close my eyes, I see them again.
And then in the top room, too, there's more steampunk stuff. Like there's the giant steampunk telescope that's surrounded by these like ultra committed robed planetologists, right?
Yeah.
You won't find a larger telescope on the planet. With it, you can see to the edge of the galaxy. There's no better view of the stars than through this scope. But the lens could do with some cleaning. My apologies.
So all of this, again, just painting a visual picture of Bugenhagen and the dedicated studies of the devoted planetologists.
And the Cosmo Canyon is a place for research. And it's like we have the best telescope in the world, basically.
Right.
You know? So it's like we gave them a kind of hard time last episode, but it's like they do have some sort of knowledge to give people, you know?
Rather than just acting like they
like
have.
A referendum on organized religion or something. Yeah. Like they don't have the answers.
The minute I walked in there, it literally gave the impression of a university, right? Because that's typically where you would find planetariums.
Yeah, the observatory. I can totally see that.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you head back down the steps, we pause because we hear like a low rumble from somewhere.
That again, huh?
And then if we approach this like large gold disc that appears to be connected to some like old cone sound amplifiers, like, you know, like old record players, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The old record players that would.
Yeah. So as we approach that, we hear another one of those roars. And this time, Aerith covers her ears. And that could be because the sound is audibly really loud. But to me, it felt more like it was just really spiritually loud for Aerith in particular. Because
like it was painful for the planet, too. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Tifa kind of reacts more with familiarity, less like, oh, that's so loud. Whereas Aerith is like cringing at it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Tifa even holds her hand to her ear, like to hear more.
That's
the planet crying out. A sorrowful dirge indeed. One I've heard all too often of late. This tubing allows us on the surface to hear the inner voice of the planet.
It's Tifa who corrects him.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting.
Right. So she corrects him. She's pulling from her own experience in the Mako of the Gongaga reactor. And she says,
what we just heard didn't come from the planet, though. That was definitely the voice of a weapon.
You seem awfully sure of yourself, miss.
Because we saw them with our own eyes. 2 in the Corel and Gongaga reactors. They were loud and huge.
And this time, Bugenhagen laughs, and it's not just like the typical chuckle that Ernest hates.
Yeah.
It's like a heartily laugh of what feels to me like a really condescending laugh of disbelief, right? And he says,
A fascinating account, were it true. However, such grand delusions could be a sign of Mako poisoning. Do see a doctor.
and then he turns and he starts floating away from them, and it's so dismissive. Like, it's so irritating. And it's also the first major sign that planetologists might not really be open to true answers, right? And it's like a flaw for Bugenhagen, which is interesting. I mean, that would irritate me so bad if I were Tifa, which honestly, that's a good moment for the writers because I cared, right? Because we're right there on her side in this moment. Like, Bugenhagen not only dismisses everything that Tifa said she saw with her own eyes, but it basically implies that she's delusional, cocky, ignorant, and she's so wrong that she must be physically sick. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I took it as a critique on, the typical academic, right? So like one of the curses of academia is that even if you had time to be a practitioner in the real world, your set of experience is limited, right? And so even if you're a researcher in that area and you're researching something, you're not doing it, right? You're not experiencing it firsthand. You're an academic in the topic, which is what he is, versus they actually experienced it.
Yeah, Tifa.
Right? They're not academics. And the academic will often, condescendingly speak to the other one as like, well, you have no idea. I've been studying this my 120 years on this planet and, it can't be that.
Right.
So that's how I took it. It was kind of like a critique on just like the prototypical academic that's been in academia so long.
That's challenged, yeah.
They're so disconnected from their field in the real world.
Yeah, I agree.
That happens.
I think you're right there, Ernest. And to Tifa's credit, like, she doesn't just silence herself like she may have back in Remake.
Excuse me?
She's learning to stand up for herself more and more and will likely make more leaps and bounds in this way during part 3, I think. I think she's going to totally be standing up for herself like crazy toward the end, at least, of part 3, which I think is really cool. But here, she is clearly a bit, like, shocked by the dismissal, and she even reacts as much, and she says, excuse me? Like, she's very surprised. And then Bugenhagen continues, and he says, listen to this wording. He says,
yes. That would do them some good. Judging from everything you've said, the three of you are unfamiliar with basic planetology. But it is never too late to learn.
And I actually really like this writing here because there's subtext to all of this, okay? So when Bugenhagen says, yes, that would do them some good, he's not saying that to Tifa. He's saying that to himself, right? Or he would have said, that would do you some good.
Yeah.
And by adding the yes in front, he's like agreeing with himself, or he's trying to convince himself that what he wants to be true is actually true. I mean, basically in this moment, Bugenhagen suspects Tifa's account, I think, that's how I read it. I think Bugenhagen suspects Tifa's account could actually be accurate, but he doesn't want to accept it because A, it goes against everything he knows after a lifetime of studies, just like you were saying, Ernest, right? And B, probably doesn't want to believe it's true because of the dire implications that would potentially come with that truth, right? So it's pure denial here in his lines, which is really interesting because of who he is. Like, he's this wise master who's like dedicated his life to studying the planet. He has Nanaki's full confidence. Not that that's saying a whole lot to me now that we know who Nanaki is, but like, he's respected in this village. Like, they have
fellow Bugenhagen
crazy amounts of respect for his knowledge, right? And yet Tifa knows more about the planet in this way than he does. And kind of going off what Ernest was saying too, this made me think. So there's a sort of proverb in Spencer and My Faith that says, when men are learned, they think they are wise, men or women, right? Just people. And if you think about that, that speaks to the fact that many times when someone is well educated in something, they can tend to think that they are wise also, when really, at least to me, knowledge and wisdom are not really the same thing. Like, you can have both, but you can also have one without the other. Like, so you shouldn't assume that you're wise just because you're educated, right? Like, to me, they're different. I mean, okay, like, how many smart people do we know who make really dumb life choices because they don't know how to apply the knowledge that they hold?
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they have knowledge, but they lack real wisdom. They don't know how to apply what they've learned. And you can have really wise people who don't have education, who don't have knowledge about things.
The thing is, like, the bridge between the two, right? Knowledge and wisdom is experience. You can't have wisdom without experience, right? But knowledge by itself isn't wisdom. And I think there's also an aspect to that here where Bugenhagen there's a bit of envy that he has all the knowledge and what he thinks is wisdom, but she actually experienced it.
Right.
So the bridge to get to wisdom is experience. So she got to experience something he never has been able to.
I like that, Ernest. I think that's good. I would even add that more than just experience, it's acceptance of experience. Does that make sense?
Well,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Because like you can experience things, but then like kind of deny them or not think about them and stuff. But I like what you're saying. I think that's a really good way to tie them together. And Tifa, to your point, I mean, that's true. Tifa comes with the experience. So she kind of has wisdom in this area. Bugenhagen doesn't. He's got knowledge, supposedly, like education, right? But I don't know. I think there's a touch of that lesson here with the Bugenhagen character because Bugenhagen is refusing to believe what Tifa is talking about regarding the weapon whales. And I think that's really interesting. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And this wasn't in the OG. Like Tifa having this whole experience, right, with the weapons was never...
I love how you know that.
Well, yeah, I've been told, right? But like what's fascinating about it is like his reaction to her experience wouldn't have been in the OG either, right?
Right.
So they're really going out of their way to say like Bugenhagen has this knowledge, but not this wisdom, like that Ernest was saying, right? Which is so interesting because it kind of feels like this scene is at odds with itself, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when he goes in, because he's like, yes, they need to learn more about planetology, and where does he bring us into next, right? He shows us and teaches us about planetology, and there's this whole cutscene, but then I cannot help, like, a part of me is being like, well, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. I mean, he does, but like he rejects something that we know to be true.
Right.
So it's this interesting thing because I don't know if it was like this in the OG, and maybe you can talk about it later, what happened, because Bugenhagen knows what's happening with the planet and he tells us about it. But I'm at this point where I'm like, well, I know Tifa went through this and I know that she experienced these things, and he's telling us something that's blatantly wrong, right?
Yep.
And he mocks us for thinking so, and he suggests that we have mako poisoning and that we need to be educated, which is so fascinating because I just feel like, well, who am I supposed to believe? Who am I supposed to trust? And I think the point that the developers are going for is that like you can't trust Bugenhagen, you can't trust Planetology, you can't trust Shinra, you can't trust any of these people. The only people that know what's going on is the party, right? Which is kind
of a trust yourself and your friends.
Yeah, which is good, but I'm also, I'm struggling to kind of find foundation in this chapter because I thought I was coming here to see answers.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're here.
Which things are actually true and what's actually happening. There are those questions.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, it's interesting because Bugenhagen is supposed to be, I guess, kind of revered character, but this makes us kind of not like him.
Yeah.
Or at least a lot of people are like,
instantly.
What a butt.
A fascinating account, were it true.
He was being nice, like showing us around, but as soon as he does that, it's like, dude,
They're so dismissive and condescending. Yes. It's like, oh, you're actually a douche. I didn't know this.
Such grand delusions could be a sign of mako poisoning. Do see a doctor.
Yeah, my opinion of him tanked.
Yeah, and there's other people in our comments that said this similar thing. So here's a few comments here about Bugenhagen. So Dan Mick is tired said, Bugenhagen was kind of a closed-minded A. When they first meet him, he had some cult leader vibes. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
I'm not the only one who's mentioned cult. Thank you, Dan. And then Sting Weber, 6394, said, Bugenhagen or Boogiehagen smacks Tifa around for no reason.
Yeah.
And then Lacrima Project says, also, is it just me or is Bugenhagen an a-hole? And then Lacrima Project continues, why? Also, he's always wrong. If you compare to what he says in the original, he is a completely different person. and knows shiz, to be honest.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thought. And then Joshua Coons 9517 said, another complaint, Bugenhagen was a complete dick to Tifa and Aerith. Aerith is the default ancient and knows a lot more about the planet and how it works compared to him. Now in the remake series Defense, this isn't, okay, this is interesting. And I didn't look this up to verify this, but he says, in Remake's defense, this isn't an original remake script problem. The Japanese version, you can't look at the subs. He says you have to use AI or watch a video of someone translating it. He says he isn't a complete piece of crap to them. This is a huge localization problem.
Oh, yeah, that's common.
In the Japanese version, he treats them with intrigue and politeness, just like the OG, and don't give me that they have to match the mouth. You can't even see his mouth in Remake.
That's fair.
That's
Right.
a poor excuse. I wonder. That's interesting. I would be curious about that. Also, culturally, I would imagine that in Japan, you could offend with much more subtlety than you can for a Western audience, right? So maybe it's not written as abruptly, but it's still picked up on. I wonder. Anyway, the Zafari Zone also says, I really liked the deception of Bugenhagen and the rest of the scholars being these snooty know-it-alls, dismissive of Tifa and the rest of the party. It felt very believable, exactly what you'd expect of sheltered folks who only really know school. It also made Bugenhagen's apology later feel so much better. So there's a lot I agree with all of this. I don't have a problem with the way that they've done this part, right? But I start asking questions a little bit like Spencer does throughout the chapter, and I want more answers. But at the same time, I thought it was interesting that they went this direction.
Yeah.
That's what ultimately gave me the final impression of what they were trying to do here as the kind of calcified academic, was because as an academic and as a scientist, right, which I don't want to put myself in that group, but you form hypotheses, you do research, you test things. And what's supposed to happen is when you get new data that contradicts what you thought before,
you form new hypothesis.
You form a new hypothesis based on that and move forward. So that was the ultimate arc here. But I feel like they did a pretty decent job. They could have done better, but it looked exactly like that. The academic that, lives in the ivory tower, as the phrase goes.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point realizes, oh, okay. And then they now change their hypothesis.
Right. Because the best scientists and scholars are the ones who stay open-minded to all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. But to be fair to an ancient man who's really old people are also very stuck in their ways as well, right?
And he kind of says that later.
As both the planet and society evolve, so too must science. And yet it seems that I cannot. Perhaps I'm much too old of a dog to learn any new tricks.
So if he's been revered as someone who has all the answers, it's not out of character for someone that's that old to kind of feel like they've had it all figured out, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Even love your dad, Joe, but sometimes he's a doctor and he'll be like, well, this is science where that was science in the 70s, Brian. You know what I mean? There's certain things when you're learning new information, and that's fine, right? Because he's way smarter than I am, but there are those moments where you're just
he's a smart guy, but the radon, right? So we got
the radon was a good example.
A radon pipe that sucks the radon gases out of the basement and shoves it out into the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And I told my dad about it, and he's like, that's just a bunch of hocus pocus, But to his credit, 2 years later, he's like, there might be something to that radon thing, because apparently
they had
his wife,
their new house in the basement.
Yeah, and they got a radon detector because they were having grandkids stay in the basement, and the radon came back way high, and so I think she kind of convinced him. But he did eventually change his mind, and they got one as well. But it was 2 years of him thinking I was a psycho.
No, but he's a good example of someone who changes his mind still.
Sometimes he doesn't.
Right. You get to a certain age and they'll be like, well, this is just how it is. You just got to trust me.
Oh, yeah. I look at my own parents, right? And
sure.
Yeah. I think all of us are parents, honestly.
There are certain things that just are not true. Period.
Yes, totally.
There's no alternative facts involved.
Nothing you could say.
There's no interpretation. It's this is solved science.
Yeah.
But in their time, there was a different belief, and they've passed that point where they're willing to accept that even science changes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a struggle because I don't care how old I am, unless I have dementia, if something comes out that's fundamentally different than what I thought, and I can actually see the facts, it's well, what I thought was wrong.
Right.
And now I move forward with it. But I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's actually good of you because a lot of people can't do that, Ernest.
This is true. And there's more to come of this exchange in the future with Bugenhagen and Tifa and all of that, of course, as we know.
He reprimands her again.
I know.
Kind of. Not as bad, but yeah.
But not yet. So for now, he just dismisses us and moves on. But remember, he's like trying to convince himself too, which I thought that was the part I really liked, right?
Yeah, that was good writing.
Yes, that would do them some good. Judging from everything you've said, the three of you are unfamiliar with basic planetology. But it is never too late to learn. Please, come with me.
So at this point, like Bugenhagen leads us to like a cylindrical kind of room with more steampunk decor, and there's machinery on the walls and some mechanical machine in the middle of the room. And also just a quick note here. So pretty much all of these scenes so far in the study part of the planetarium, right? The observatory or whatever, all of these that we've talked about so far in this discussion are new to Rebirth.
Mhm.
These are all new.
Oh, okay.
Because in the original game, there's only like a room or two that have a tiny bit of steampunk like inspiration to them, but mostly they just look like living spaces, right? Like they have like a fridge and a chair, table and stools, or like a pot on the stove. Like that's kind of what we're going through in the OG. There really aren't like the piles of books and globes. There's a little bit of that, but it's not nearly as extravagant as it is here. And it's not as extreme evidence of like someone obsessed with study, basically.
And have we gotten to where the source of some of those books are yet?
You mean like Professor Gast?
Yes.
A lot of the NPCs say it.
I wasn't going to mention it here because we talked about it in the last episode, but it's true that one of the NPCs talks about how a lot of the research, I think.
She says half of the materials of research were provided by Professor Gast.
We have Professor Gast to thank for a full half of the research materials archived here.
She's the one by the chalkboard downstairs where she's like,
Yeah.
this is great. All this is provided.
I totally missed her.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also in the OG too, the conversation with Bugenhagen revealing Nanaki's age, like his real age, takes place in one of these like simple like living space kind of rooms. It's not in like an observatory kind of a thing, rather than like up on the cliff surface overlooking the valley or something like that. Like it's just a little bit different in the OG. And then the scene where they hear the cries of the planet is also a bit different in the OG. I want to outline this because I thought it was really interesting. Okay, so
cool.
In the OG, we're talking to Bugenhagen and he says, when it's time for the planet to die, you'll understand that you know absolutely nothing. And Cloud says, when the planet dies? And Bugenhagen laughs. That earnest laugh. Yeah, there it is. Good. And he says, it may be tomorrow or 100 years from now, but it's not long off. So he's saying the planet's going to die. That's his claim here, right? And Cloud says,
Okay.
How do you know this? And then like the music quiets. And then Bugenhagen responds, I hear the cries of the planet. And then we hear the sound of like this kind of deep moaning, like weapon wails, but in like 1997 sound effects quality, you know? And Cloud looks up and the camera like pans up to the top telescope, which there's a telescope room in the OG. And Cloud asks, what's that? To which Bugenhagen responds, the sounds of the stars in the heavens. While this goes on, planets are born and die.
Oh, wow.
And then there's like this spookier, like screechier sound that overlaps the moaning.
Okay.
And Cloud says, what was that? And Bugenhagen laughs, again for some weird reason. And he says, that was a scream from the planet. Didn't you hear it? As if to say, I hurt, I suffer. And then Nanaki looks at Bugenhagen and says, they have come here on a journey to save the planet. And he suggests that Bugenhagen show us his apparatus. And Bugenhagen laughs again. And he says, to save the planet? And then he laughs some more. And then he agrees that it couldn't hurt to show Cloud. So it's interesting.
Okay.
Because in our last discussion, remember how planetologists like argued to Barrett that the planet didn't need saving, that it would like...
the planet will take care of it, yeah.
Like it'll save itself, right? Like, or something along those lines, if I'm understanding their intent correctly. Whereas here in the OG, the planetologists, or at least Bugenhagen, who's their leader, tend to believe that the planet doesn't need saving because its death is inevitable.
Yeah,
like
that's
I think that's different.
He's resigned to its dying.
Yeah, he's like, it's going to die. It might happen tomorrow. It could be 100 years from now, but the planet is going to die. Like, it's kind of darker.
Interesting.
I mean, you know, and to be fair, like, think about Earth, right? At some point, the same thing's going to happen here, right? Like, yeah, billions of years from now, but whatever. The point's the same.
Yeah, but this isn't Earth. This is whatever the heck their planet's name is. They never actually name it, do they?
And especially since they're trying to save it. Like, the whole thing is built upon, like, stopping the Mako reactors from draining the life from the planet, right? And then he's like,
yeah,
it's going to die. That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating. And it's also interesting that in the OG, we don't hear the weapon whales like crying out, but the stars in the heavens is what we hear.
The observations of the planets.
Yeah, and then the planet itself.
From other stars he's seen that die.
Yeah, or at least that's the perceived explanation, I guess, from Bugenhagen. And then in the OG, the whole idea of Bugenhagen like doubting Tifa, you know, for her live stream story, we talked about it. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But Bugenhagen does laugh at the idea that Cloud and the party are trying to save the planet, right? He thinks that's the funny laughing thing, right? So there are a few differences. Overall, conceptually mostly similar, but different in like the whole like planet. Like he thinks it's inevitable. Like that's why.
He's a little bit doomer, but yeah.
Yeah.
But then back in Rebirth, right? So at that point, Bugenhagen says,
I present to you our planetarium. While the Shinra building features the latest iteration, this particular one is my original design.
And if you aren't paying attention, this line feels almost like a throwaway line. But if you've played the original game or somehow gotten your hands on the game called Before Crisis, you know, have you heard of this game? It's about the Turks.
Wasn't it only released in Japan?
I think it's only Japan.
It's
yeah.
Like...
You could play it on like an emulator, but like, it's actually hard to get a hold of in English. But
interesting.
But if you've played that game, the few people who may have, you know that this is hinting that there's some kind of past connection that Bugenhagen may have with Shinra, because why else would both Shinra and his own observatory have the same technology, right? But nothing beyond that hint is revealed here. So I'm going to actually leave those details out and let them be fleshed out in part 3, because I think they will flesh them out in part 3, because I think Bugenhagen will come back into the picture.
Okay.
Yeah, he has to, right? Because I think there's a direct tie-in there, right? And so that has to be fleshed out further. But it also explains a lot of who Bugenhagen is, right? And like his backstory.
Which would be interesting.
How he got to this place. So yeah, there's a lot there.
Right. And in the OG, you return more than once to Cosmo Canyon. So why not return again and talk to him some more? But then from that point in Rebirth, right, Bugenhagen then pulls a lever, a big steampunk like gold wheel begins to turn, actual steam comes out of this machine, which I think is cool, like out of the valve. And then the center device begins to rotate, and then the circular like floor raises with Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa like looking really amazed as they go up with it, until the floor finally locks into place in a dark room up above, and then the screen goes black. And this is the beginning of the Grand Planetarium cinematic cutscene, right? And the same one that OG players remember as being one of the most impressive moments of the game in 1997. And Rebirth doesn't skimp on the visuals, at least, you know?
No, it's great.
On a lot of things in this 2026 or I guess 2024 version either. So let me walk you through some of the visual details. We don't want to miss anything. Let's go through this cutscene in like depth here, because that's what we do, right? And I'm going to go through a lot of details. I'm going to verbalize them for those who are just listening. So very sorry to those who are watching. You might hear the obvious as you're watching it, but that's for our listeners. Okay, so here, there's like a starry glowing galaxy. It's purple and blue, and it brightens the scene with like orbit rings of ornate gold to keep that kind of mechanical steampunk design. And first, we see the galaxy like display, and then the camera turns to reveal the faces of Aerith, Cloud, and Tifa, who are all marveling at the sight before them. And that's the shot I think you were talking about earlier.
From the trailer, yeah.
And because part of the purpose, I think, of this whole scene is, of course, to see what Bugenhagen unfolds for us and educate us, fill in maybe a few holes. But another purpose for this scene is for us to see it through our characters' eyes, especially Aerith's.
Wow.
Which is why they're showing their faces, I think, to connect us to them and so we can watch through them. And then a shooting star flies by.
A shooting star!
And then planets begin to rotate around a sort of sun. as well as on their own axis or their axes, along with mechanical sounds like telling us that this is some sort of projection, possibly like maybe enhanced by magic, not really sure on that one, but it's constructed and operationally, I would say, practical at the same time. And then Bugenhagen begins to explain what planetology is.
Planetology is not simply the study of the cosmos and the celestial bodies that dwell in it. Rather, it is a quest to comprehend the cyclical nature of life.
How well does that explain it? Cyclical nature of life. And as he's explaining this, the camera is like weaving closely in between these planet models, which is pretty cool looking. And again, I mean, something a CG camera can do much better than a live action camera. So I noticed.
Yeah, it's way cool.
Yeah. And then some asteroids fly past our party, and one of them like flies directly through one of the physical gold like orbit beams. And the asteroid kind of glitches as it passes through, which is basically reminding us, I think, that this is some sort of projection. The way it glitches, it's like, oh, projection, right?
Yeah.
And then a large Earth-looking planet passes directly in front of Bugenhagen, and he introduces it as
the planet we call home.
And then it fades into a zoomed-in shot of the planet's grassy surface and various blue, like translucent hologram, like hairless human figures with live stream energy flowing inside them. It appears
you can kind of see like their nervous system or a little bit like or whatever, something's inside of them, you know.
Mixed with live stream.
Yeah.
They appear on the surface of this planet. There's like a baby crawling, and then there's two children running, and then there's like a man and a woman walking, and then finally we land on an elderly man who's like actually using a cane, right? And as we see these figures, Bugenhagen explains,
it was from its soil, so teeming with life, that mankind was born. And like all living things, man is fated to die.
And when he says that, the elderly hologram man, along with some of the beautiful glowing blue and purple trees near him, they all like swirl and fade into the air, representing basically the end of their lives on this planet, right? And then we pull back out to view the planet in space, where similar glowing, like wisping streams of life quickly circle and travel around the planet. And we see these fast-moving blue glowing lights reflecting off the faces, again, of our party, who are deeply engrossed in what they're watching. So we're reconnected with the people watching, you know, this is us. And then Bugenhagen says,
what happens next? The body withers and returns to the planet. But what of the mind, the spirit, the soul?
And as we see various angles of these like light streaks moving around the Earth, Bugenhagen answers,
much like its former vessel, it too returns whence it came. To the great river where all intertwine and circle the planet without end. A cycle of continuous convergence and divergence. The ceaseless ebb and flow that is the life stream.
And so really it doesn't like answer a lot of my questions about like how the individual consciousness of someone who re-enters the live stream manifests, but it does like clarify the high level stuff that maybe normie gamers are probably looking for. I'm thinking maybe.
Yeah, this was my argument that I was telling you last time, right? Because you were like, what is the live stream? What does it mean? And I'm like, we kind of got our answer here. And it is kind of just the Lion King circle of life kind of thing.
Yeah.
You return back from whence you came, and then new life springs from that, and it just keeps going.
Exactly.
It says planetology is the study of the cyclical nature of life. And you know,
cyclical nature. I always want more because I want to know like, because like if you're on this planet and like somebody you love dies, you want to know like, what happens to them?
Sure, yeah.
Are they just a blob of light? You know, that's the stuff that I want to get into.
Well,
but again, like that's because I really wonder about all of that in real life. So I want to know about it on their planet.
Keep in mind, right, like if you zoom out 30,000 feet, this entire story, right, the 7 arc is a social commentary on, you could loosely term it like extraction capitalism, but there's other terms for it, right? So it's
environmentalism.
Environmentalism is a great word, right? And the way they put this scene together immediately reminded me of like this concept. It's from the 70s. I actually went to look it up so I could get the details on it. But the guy who wrote it was James Lovelock, and it's called the Gaia Hypothesis, right? And it kind of has some main points, which are Earth is a self-regulating organism. All living and non-living components are interconnected. The planet maintains conditions for life through feedback systems. And then you expand that further, right? You have these other kind of arcs off of that. So like many people refer to Earth as like Mother Earth, right? So like it's the mother that's nourishing, life comes from it, right? But then life goes back to it.
Okay.
There's another philosophy, Ubuntu out there called, all things connected. There's also a belief, right, in more Native American cultures that land has a spirit and consciousness of its own.
Okay.
And then have you ever been in a store and seen 7th generation products?
I have never even heard of that.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like...
I never go to the store. Spencer does all the shopping.
Are you talking about like technology? Like the 7th generation is like always better than the 1st generation or whatever. Is that what you're talking about? Or is it...
Well, so the name of the brand is 7th generation. And
okay. So yeah, no, that's...
What's it a brand of?
It's like these eco-friendly cleaners.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cleaning fluids and like laundry detergents and...
Okay, chemical products.
Right, chemical products that are earth-friendly. And the 7th generation, like you see that name and a lot of people don't realize where that actually came from. It's like it's its own principle. I don't know how to pronounce this, but Haudenosaunee. It's their belief that whenever you do something on this planet, you should consider the impact 7 generations ahead.
Oh, okay. So that's the meaning behind it.
That's kind of cool. Who believed in that or who originated that? Or like how long ago?
Oh, I don't know exactly how long ago, but...
I'm just curious.
Many, like probably before this country existed. And, you always hear people say, especially the environmentalists, oh, you're killing the planet, right? That kind of bothers me because it's one of those things where like, no, you're not killing the planet. The planet was here long before us. The planet is going to be here long after every one of us is gone. You are not killing the planet. You're affecting us. It's a mirror, right? And it has feedback systems. So it's not about I'm harming the planet. It's about it's harming us. And to the point of this other belief, 7 generations down, they're going to suffer for our decisions.
Like, will the environment be livable and sustainable for human life? Not necessarily like the planet will be fine, but how are we affecting ourselves in the future? Yeah.
Exactly.
I like the concept of being considerate for those 7 generations out.
Cool.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thanks for that, Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with this planet, this one that we're seeing spinning here, I do think there are some parallels that they pulled into this, at least the concepts are very similar, right? And going back to the scene, so at this point we see more of the spinning planet, right? With more of the light streaks like dancing all around it, and it slowly passes in front of Bugenhagen as he verbally points to the term live stream.
The ceaseless ebb and flow that is the life stream. An apt name, though it is as much a reservoir as it is a stream, being the sum of the planet's spiritual energy.
And the planet then moves away from Bugenhagen on its rotating axis, and we see multiple planets like rotating above the steampunk projector machine, as he calls the live stream.
The very essence of our star. The blood coursing through its planetary veins.
Then all the planets stop rotating, and they dim to black, basically, and it leaves only their planet glowing and moving along its axis in front of the party. So everything else is black, right? It's just focused on this one. And it's still circled by moving streaks of this greenish light we know to be pretty much the live stream. And the planet slowly passes by Tifa, slowly passes by Cloud, and then it slowly comes to a stop directly in front of Aerith. And this planet is nearly as tall as she is, you guys. It's quite the visual display in front of her, and she is just completely mesmerized, right? Because remember, she has a native and unique connection to this life-size image. Well, not life-size, because that would be the actual planet, but like very large image that stands before her. So she's like especially invested. And then Bugenhagen says,
if ever that essence were to be entirely depleted.
And as he speaks, the earth slowly, it starts to dry to a brown color, and the light streaks become fewer and fewer until they've all disappeared, leaving a crusted husk of a planet in front of Aerith. And she reaches out a finger to touch it, and the whole earth crumbles to dust before her. And Tifa and Cloud, it's interesting, they're watching Aerith intently.
Yeah.
And she looks legitimately devastated.
They both look so bummed out for her.
Yes, but isn't that interesting though? Because you can tell they feel they feel bad about the planet, but they are feeling for Aerith at that moment.
They are assuming what she's feeling.
Yeah, and then the sequence ends by cutting to a wide shot of everyone standing in this now dark and lifeless Planetarium, basically, which to me is the cinematics director's way of showing how small and alone the characters feel by the real implications of what they've just seen, which is a major contrast to the glowing and vibrant living colors that were swirling around us moments earlier. So now it's just like this wide shot, they're insignificant and everything's dark, which I think is cool. And then the scene actually fades to black. So before I go into, because I want to compare this to the OG's version with you, but before I do that, do you guys have any additional commentary on this whole scene?
Yeah, I just say I think it's beautiful. I think these are times when the developers really want us to pay attention to these moments because this was a dedicated pre-rendered cinematic.
Right.
These are not using the in-game models, right? These are much higher detailed CGI level quality renders of Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. Their expressions, everything is animated to such a fine detail in this cinematic. So it's like, pay attention because this is important. I feel like this is what the commentary is that the whole game's about, is this moment, right?
I agree 100%. And one of the things I also point out is that I think this is where they kind of tied it together, right? So they watch this entire thing happen, unfold in front of them. But another trope you often get in movies and games is what I showed you is one of many possibilities.
Right, if this happens, yeah.
Right. And so right now, the party understands intimately what this is saying because they've seen the Mako reactors, they've seen the damage that Shinra does to the planet, and then they've now seen this cinematic that's basically showing them what happens if this path continues.
Yeah.
Right? So this is kind of that moment where they have to, like, I guess, come to terms with the fact that the only way to prevent what they just saw is to take down Shinra.
Which is confirming of what Barrett is basically
believed all along,
basing his whole mission on,
Yeah.
you know? And it's interesting too, because they don't mention Shinra one time, except for at the very beginning when he says there's another projection like this in the Shinra building.
Which we saw in Remake.
Yeah, which we did see.
Yeah.
But they don't call out Shinra, right? They're not like super on the nose about that, but it's implying that.
This is one of those examples that you gave earlier where you can tell a story and you can infer things
without being on the nose and spelled out.
Without actually spelling it out.
Yeah, and there is some on the nose stuff here because they are trying to clarify. But in that regard, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all that
Because
way.
they're not saying, this is the real enemy, so now you have motivation, go stop them. You know,
Right.
It's just saying these are the consequences if this were to take place.
Do you want to hear how the original game scene goes? Okay, so let's compare this scene to the one found in the OG. Shot for shot, like just like we did with Rebirth. So in the OG, the party first starts again in the cylindrical room, similarly, so that was carried over, where like the floor rises up to the projection room, and there's even like a little round projection machine at the bottom of it, just like in Rebirth. So even the little machine itself was carried over. And the steampunk design is present, but it's made much more prominent in Rebirth. And Nanaki actually specifies that only 3 people, this is the OG, he specifies that only 3 people will fit in the planetarium. So you have to pick which 2 people come with you. And coincidentally, I happen to always pick Tifa and Aerith. I think pretty much every single time I ever played the OG, but you can actually pick whoever you want. I had to look this up on YouTube. I was like looking for,
Interesting.
planetarium scenes.
Barrett would love this stuff, man.
Barrett was in some of the scenes. I'm like, okay, so you can do that. Whereas in Rebirth, it locks you into Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. And part of that is obviously so they can do a pre-rendered cutscene here. And so the Aerith can be especially impacted by the projections, like implications. And we know that Tifa's had her own experience with the planet. So it just makes sense that they want those
Yeah, it makes sense that they're there.
3 to be there. So in the OG, Cloud rises up into the projection room beneath a big galaxy display with various planets like sitting static on what looks like orbiting tracks, but the orbit tracks are these like just glowing red lines rather than like gold steampunk machinery, probably just what they could do at the time. And Aerith and Tifa, then they step a few steps away from Cloud because you know how they're like all one blob and then they kind of separate kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they disperse.
Yeah. So they kind of disperse, right? And they're looking around and Aerith says, so pretty. It's just like the real thing. And Bugenhagen says, yes, pretty good. This is my laboratory. All the workings of space are entered into this 3D holographic system.
Cool.
So this is very 1990s, like Japanese translation language, right?
And it was like the first time 3D was a thing for games, which is hilarious.
So they had to like specify, yeah, that's true.
This is 3D, y'all.
This is 3D. And then Aerith calls out that if you have Aerith in your party, she calls out that she sees a shooting star, just like in Rebirth.
A shooting star!
And we see it fly by in the OG with some pretty unique sound effects, like courtesy of 1997 technology. Seriously, like, as someone with a lot of experience in sound design, I was like, oh, interesting choice there. Even though they probably didn't have, like, much of a choice, but it sounds like a pack of robots melting in lava to me. And, like, being aware that they're melting in lava, like sentient robots. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's, like, the image that came to my mind.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, everybody gets to hear it here. So then a single like bluish green planet rotates toward the camera with two moons like simultaneously orbiting it, followed by some passing asteroids. So the asteroids here, right? Mm-hmm. And then the camera like pulls back into a wide shot with our characters watching the planets spin above them. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this scene much, Ernest, but I remember that this kind of like cinematography was impressive for its time in a game like this. I remember being like, whoa, I want to watch this. Like, I probably even went back to my previous save and watched it a few times as my guess, because I was impressed.
I don't remember the exact scene, but I remember being incredibly impressed by it, like watching it happen, even in the old one, and thinking like in a world of block characters, right? Like this was very...
The polygons.
Right.
There's like colors and spheres and movement and everything like that, right? And they keep bouncing between like little cutscene moments, but then gameplay with the polygons like there, because it's not fully pre-rendered cutscene. There's parts of that, but it's not fully that way, which is why you can bring any party member to it, right? Yeah, okay, so then at that point, more asteroids fly by, and it appears that they're being pulled into a black hole, like in the distance or something. Like the camera, like, follows these asteroids, like, into the black hole, and then the screen, like, flashes white, and then it cuts back to the first, like, establishing wide shot, which is, I'll be honest, it's, like, a bit awkward. It's kind of weird and hilarious, but this is the developers like trying to be impressive with the visual technology they have to work with, right? And again, it's kind of hilarious when you look at it through like a 2026 lens now, but I like that Rebirth even kept a nod to those asteroids, right? We don't see them like go into a black hole, but they chose to keep like a nod to the asteroids, but instead chose to use them to confirm that this is a projection in Rebirth, whereas here it's just kind of like asteroids for the sake of asteroids, I think. I don't know. And then Aerith says, how wonderful. And Bugenhagen laughs and says, yes, it is something, isn't it? He really likes his own work here.
I like what I made.
Yeah. And then he says, well, let's get to the subject. And from here, the planets are pretty much static because it would probably have been asking too much, technologically speaking, to have them like constantly moving like they are in Rebirth. And that's when Bugenhagen goes into his explanation of planetology. So listen closely to this whole thing. He says, eventually, all humans die. What happens to them after they die? The body decomposes and returns to the planet. So a bit more bluntly morbid than the reimagined version, right? But the point is clear. Then he says, that much everyone knows. What about their consciousness, their hearts, and their souls? The soul, too, returns to the planet. And not only those of humans, but everything on this planet. In fact, all living things in the universe are the same. The spirits that return to the planet merge with one another and roam the planet. They roam, converge, and divide, becoming a swell called the Livestream. Livestream, in other words, a path of energy of the souls roaming the planet, okay? So it's interesting that the OG specifies that all living things they actually say the same, which kind of takes away from like the uniqueness and importance of humans versus like amoebas or something. But it could also have been just like a translation thing. Like they maybe all return to the planet and the live stream in the same way, right? But they're not like the same. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
I see it as like being the same though.
It could be.
Your whole question is like, what happens to the soul or whatever? I mean, like the memories are stored inside the live stream because that's what Mako is.
Yeah, but I keep saying like, I don't want to be a blob of light.
I know that you don't want to be a blob of light.
That just like merges with some
I know that you don't want to be, but I feel like this game is just saying like all life is precious and it all just goes back to Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Didn't you watch the cinematic masterpiece called Avatar?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I watched the first one.
Well, this is your fault. I need your help.
Yeah, that's basically the entire concept of that movie laid out right here.
Right.
I guess like I disagree with the premise that humans have unique value that other living creatures who also have value, just it's different value. So maybe I was
Sure.
This stood out to me.
Well, I think that's natural.
And that is a uniquely human viewpoint.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because humans are capable of that kind of a viewpoint because they're unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. And then so from here in the OG, Bugenhagen goes on to say, he says, spirit energy is a word that you should never forget, which kind of makes me smile because one, it's actually two words.
A word.
And
he was rushed. The translator was one guy.
I know.
He was doing his best.
And two, because the specific term is actually reworded to spiritual energy, right, in Rebirth. And then its usage is downgraded quite a bit, at least, you know, in terms of numbers. But here, we should never forget it. But regardless, anyway. So he continues, he says, a new life. Children are blessed with spirit energy and are brought into the world. Then the time comes when they die and once again return to the planet. And then this is kind of interesting. So Bugenhagen says, of course there are exceptions, but this is the way of the world. And I'm like, there are exceptions?
That's kind of important.
Like, yeah, what are the exceptions?
We're about to find out.
Or not? Like, I don't know.
We find out about it in the...
Oh, you're talking about Sephiroth?
No, the Gi.
That's true.
Okay.
They don't return.
So the Gi story didn't exist in the OG. I wonder if they pulled this and just turned it into the Gi story.
The exceptions?
Yeah.
I think the Gi story is awesome. We're not getting into it tonight.
I think the Gi story is cool too. Yeah, we'll talk about it more later.
Because it gives explanation as to why things happen.
Like Black Materia and all of that stuff, right?
But they are the exceptions, right? Because
Right, well, let me see.
The Gi and Genova.
I guess I didn't think of the Gi because it says, a new life, children are blessed with spirit energy and are brought into the world. Then the time comes where they die and once again return to the planet. Of course, there are exceptions. So I thought that the exceptions was strictly the time comes where they die and once again return to the planet. But it could be the whole thing he said before
Right,
then.
or it could be some exceptions to the people that were born on the planet. Like that you
Yeah,
talked about.
okay.
So yeah,
That's actually kind of cool.
Either way.
If they created the Gi because of the exceptions line, or like partially like that sparked it, that's actually kind of rad. This big truck driving by, hey there. Seriously, like every car that drives by sees me on bright display.
Why don't you close the blinds? Or
because the wind was blowing them and hitting the wall, and it was making a thud.
Oh,
thud,
but you
thud.
didn't shut the window.
No, because it has to be cold in here, else my face gets flushed. Yeah, but anyway.
Gotcha.
But I thought it was interesting that they mention exceptions here in the original game before the Gi story really existed. Because I was like, did they actually have something in mind for an exception at this point? Or was this more of a get out of jail free card that would like allow them...
Like leaving the door open for them.
Yeah, to like bend the rules if they felt like it at some point, right? Like who knows?
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure there are people watching this who feel like they know the answer, so feel free to tell us in the comments. I'd be curious.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Bugenhagen continues. He says, I've digressed, but you'll understand better if you watch this. And then it moves into a cutscene that's like overlaid by gameplay polygon characters, which was kind of cool technology for the time. And it's this like cutscene of the glowing planets in the galaxy like starting to orbit, and the camera like slowly approaches an Earth-looking planet that not only resembles our own Earth, but it appears to be the third planet from the sun, just like ours. So there was clearly some real life inspiration here. Like it actually looks like Earth and it's the third planet from the sun. And then when the Earth-like planet gets close enough to almost fill the whole like vertical frame, then it stops glowing and it falls dark. And as we continue to zoom in, we see this little like glistening yellow man-like figure standing on the planet's surface. So this isn't the point where the planet dies. It just goes dark so we can see the little yellow man, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so then that figure dissipates into yellow dust, and there's also like nearby tree-like structures that also dissipate into pink dust. So this is similar, of course, to the elderly hologram man.
Yeah, when he died.
Between two trees in Rebirth, who dies and fades away. So in this case, it's yellow sparkly stuff, right? And this yellow sparkly man dust like then streams away, and it combines with the pink stream like sparkles of the tree. So it's that example of life combining, right? And then those sparkles like wrap around the planet's surface. And as this happens, the sparkles turn green in color, which is the life stream color we're more familiar with. And then once the green sparkle stream reaches the opposite side of the planet, it forms into a new yellow person who like jumps.
Okay.
And then the camera pulls back and we see sparkles of multiple different colors encircling the planet as Bugenhagen like floats nearby. So this is clearly telling the story of how when someone dies, their soul joins with the life stream and eventually gives birth to a new person. The cyclical nature of life on this planet, right? And then Bugenhagen continues to explain, making sure the audience understands. He says, spirit energy is the source of life for trees, birds, and humans. So there's that term again, spirit energy. And then he says, and not only living things, it makes it possible to form planets.
Okay.
Planets. Okay. So the original game had like, it seemed to me kind of grander visions maybe for the live stream. I don't know, because apparently it also creates worlds. And you could say that, yeah, it could do that here in Rebirth, true, but they don't call it out in Rebirth, right? It's a cool concept, but I think it's good that Rebirth stuck to the world at hand, because once you open your plot lines up to like the endless realms of space, the story can really start to get away from you, I think personally. And yeah, I know it's likely that we're going to be going to space for part 3 or something, because we always go to space, right? And Cloud and Sephiroth have maybe already fought in space, or have they? I don't really know.
7 seconds till the end.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but none of this is as cool as taking a whale to the moon, though.
Taking a whale to...
What?
Final Fantasy IV?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that's right. I wonder if that's what the Mountain 14 was paying homage to.
You can ride a whale?
Yeah, you could ride a whale as a mount.
That's
James
pretty
bought
cool.
me like
Oh, that's right. You did have the big whale.
the most expensive mechanical like whale mount.
Yes, that's right. How funny.
It was my least favorite mount, even though it was so expensive.
But it's huge.
Because you couldn't see the characters on it. They were in it.
That's right.
I didn't like it at all. It took up the whole screen. I felt bad because it was like $40. And I really appreciated that he bought me a mount.
Shout out to James.
James was awesome. He bought me more than one mount and like
Oh, I
things.
know.
He was so awesome. I miss playing Final Fantasy XIV with James and Matt.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Well, that's funny if that's where they got it from, because when I played 4, I remember getting to that point and I was like, this is
so
awesome.
funny.
We're taking a whale to the moon.
Yeah, I think 4 was the one where I got stuck in the wall after 100 hours of gameplay, because I did everything and leveled up to like 99 at the end of the game, and I could never beat it because I was stuck in a wall. Like there was a glitch.
Oh, yeah.
Next stream, Jolie. Let's complete it.
It was before you could have multiple saves. Like, I have it on Switch, and I plan to play it again after I'm done with 6, but anyway, that was a tangent, but yeah, maybe.
That's
Take
awesome.
a whale to the moon. Who knows, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. But I was going to say, I mean, they're limiting it to our, like, this planet. But the thing is, it's like there's multiple I have to be careful with this word because I can't say timelines or multiverses.
Oh, yeah. Possibilities is what they call it in Ever Crisis. There's multiple possibilities.
Yeah, there's multiple possibilities within the live stream. So it's like you can have separate worlds that are all taking place within this one world, but it's like maybe none of them are real.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know.
Maybe of them are memories or hopes and dreams, like we learned from that before the seminar takes place. That guy's like, well, what if it's our hopes and dreams that are unrealized? And that's in the live stream too.
And over the course of my studies, I stumbled across a fascinating theory. It addressed the issue of what the live stream is, arguing that spiritual energy is actually a manifestation of our knowledge and memories.
But I do like that they are distilling it down to this planet, right? So
yeah, because like usually when I hear like a non-space story go to space, I fear that they will jump the shark.
Sure.
Like I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And the same fear like kind of applies to Rebirth a bit, with especially with the multiple possibilities. I really am worried that they're not going to commit. That's my biggest fear, which is not even the space thing. It's just like they're going to let anybody have the ending they want, and that's bad.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Maybe. I'm saying maybe it could be that way.
Yeah.
I hope they do something like they did with the Avengers, right? Where Doctor Strange can see all the possibilities, right?
Sure.
And he could see all the outcomes.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Exactly.
He's such a good actor.
It's an amazing actor.
Be back, Jeremy.
Hey, what was that?
Went forward in time to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000. How many did we win?
Which is amazing because it's like it took the concept on its head. Instead of it being like the negative aspect of, oh, they can just do anything they want.
Right.
It turned into many, many possibilities. And in that, only one would result in what they needed. And he didn't want to tell him anything so as not to like taint the timeline.
Yeah.
Right?
I liked that. Yeah, and I'd be okay with that. Like if they like spread this thing out with all the possibilities or timelines or whatever, dimensions, whatever it is, right? But then they bring it back together at the end into one, I'm okay with that, I think.
And then they name it Reunion. There you go.
They name it the same thing they named Crisis Core.
They should have. You'll learn more about what happens at the end of this game. You'll see.
Yeah, you'll see.
But
so here in the OG, there's still more from Bugenhagen. So he says, and if that spirit energy were to disappear, and then he like reaches out his arm to the planet in front of him, and he like sucks up all of the glitter streams into his sleeve.
He takes it all.
Yeah, he takes it all, which is kind of fun. And then the planet, as he sucks this all up, it becomes completely black. And then it breaks into 3 big like pieces and it falls out of frame. So this is the planet falling apart like it did in Rebirth. Then we're back to that wide shot beneath all the static planets and their orbits, kind of from the beginning. And Bugenhagen says, these are the basics of the study of planet life. Then Cloud folds his arms and says, if spirit energy disappears, our planet will die. And Bugenhagen responds by laughing and saying, spirit energy is efficient because it exists within nature. Which, okay, this is just me being nitpicky, which that's how I am sometimes. So here we go. So like, I just thought that was kind of a weird statement, right? So it's, let's see, spirit energy is efficient because it exists within nature. So I just thought it was weird because he's talking about spirit energy being energy efficient, I think, not just efficient. I think they intended to use the first word, energy, to make that clear, but it's a bit of a weird sentence in English given that they're treating spirit energy as a proper noun with capitalization, okay? So they should probably say that it's energy efficient. But this is the copy editor in me. Okay, so then, whatever. The way you read it, if you read it like correctly, grammatically with capitalization, it doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, oh, I think they mean energy efficient, not just efficient, right? Whatever. Okay, so then Bugenhagen says, when spirit energy is forcefully extracted and manufactured, it can't accomplish its true purpose. And then Cloud confirms, you're talking about Mako energy, right? And Bugenhagen says, every day Mako reactors suck up spirit energy, diminishing it. Spirit energy is compressed in reactors and processed into Mako energy. All living things are being used up and thrown away. In other words, Mako energy will only destroy the planet. And does anybody notice anything about this dialogue?
I mean, he's literally spelling it out.
Yes, that's exactly. Boom! Good job, Ernest. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. He's spelling it out. This is very on the nose part, right?
Yes.
This is spelling things out for the audience. And I think we forgive it for that because it was 1997.
I was like, they got a limited budget, right? And limited tools. Like, they're
Exactly.
in a hurry the entire time.
Right.
The written word was the main storytelling tool. Like, we can't really see facial expressions. You know, they can't use acting and voices and things like that. So we forgive it, right? I mean, aside from like some of the basic visual storytelling of its time, that's really what they have to work with. But if Rebirth, now that we have all of the technology, if Rebirth were to have taken this dialogue and carried it over unchanged, now with like better graphics maybe, better music, better animation and the like, it would have performed very poorly because it's just stating everything right up front as it is. Like, there's not really any subtext in any of this. It feels very expositional. But again, okay for 1997, probably more so. Not so much today.
But at least in Rebirth, they inferred it, right? So, like, you as the gamer can, I get it, right? I understand where this is going.
Yeah, which was better, right? Because it was in the subtext. It was in the implication, which I think, totally, to your point. And that's the end of the OG cutscene. And then the floor lowers and Cloud and Bugenhagen, like, go back down to the lower level or whatever. So some differences that jump out at me, at least, when comparing the OG to Rebirth, aside from like the major jump in production value, are first, the OG not only walks us through the cyclical nature of the live stream, but it also goes into what Mako is and how using Mako is draining the planet. That's the on the nose part in particular, right? And that will cause it to die. So in Rebirth, we talked about this. This isn't mentioned anywhere in Rebirth, probably because they imply it, but we've also learned about it through Barrett and Aerith and Red.
Right, we've already kind of known.
Yeah, even Red. May he rest in peace. But before this point, so that allows Rebirth to stay on the subject of the live stream and the planet itself, which I think is nice in Rebirth. Also, the OG calls out that the live stream can create entire planets. So that's a difference there too, right? So it mentions moving beyond this one world itself. And then also, you're going to make fun of me. So the OG writers need to calm down with their flipping capitalization. They need to just calm down. They capitalize... not writers. They capitalize whatever they want. Like, I'm not even kidding. Everything is branded a proper noun to them. And I'm probably the only person who is irritated by this because... frankly, the people I work with do this all the time too. And I'm constantly fighting battles about capitalization. Just today, I reviewed some copy at work just today. And literally the only things that I had to correct were capitalization because they capitalized things they shouldn't have capitalized. And in my feedback where I wrote approved if you fix the capitalization, yes, I will die on this hill, winky face. Because they hear it from me all the time. And the OG is like notorious for this. They capitalize whatever they want. And today, I mean, nobody even notices this except maybe because social media has basically destroyed us in this way. And then LLMs, for all their like what they're able to pull, like they're terrible at capitalization because they learn from humans on social media and people who suck at this. So there are grammar rules, you guys, that dictate capitalization. You can't just capitalize anything you want. Stop doing it. Stop.
Right, but like,
I will die on this hill. I will die.
Yes, you can die on this hill, but there are literal, like, not just typos. There's like famous quotes from the original translation that are so bad that make no sense.
This guy are sick.
This guy are sick. Like there's many examples of that, right, in the original. So yeah, like you can freak out about capitalization, but then like a lot of the dialogue, if you guys, I did this on stream one day, go watch Tim Rogers' whole video series. It's called Let's Mosey. It's a
that
slow
guy's
translation of the original Final Fantasy VII. And it's hilarious because he points out all the grammatical errors.
Yes, you showed a clip and I was like, I had never heard of Tim Rogers because I'm not online as much as you.
Yeah.
And I was just
It's
like,
very, very
I love this guy. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
He loved women, a real ladies' man. He probably found someone else. Okay, first of all, buddy, it's ladies' man. Ladies, apostrophe. He is the man of many ladies. That's kinda just how that particular cliched expression goes. The way you've got it written here, it looks like Eris is saying that Zack is the man of a not specified, yet singularly quantified individual lady.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach. I
Yeah,
love
so
it.
yes, capitalization, but also all the other craziness that went on with the original translation. So
Yes, that's good. And then, okay, there's one more final difference I do want to call out here
Mm-hmm.
between this scene in Rebirth and the OG. And that's whereas the OG used this scene as a way to educate primarily the audience on the basics of the planet and the live stream, Rebirth, and I touched on this a little bit, Rebirth adds to that by making this scene about Aerith and how she feels about what she's seeing. So this is personal to her. And in that way, Rebirth raises the stakes, or at least it reinforces them, through this character connection, right? And I think Rebirth's scene is stronger in that way because of that, to be honest with you. So, I mean, in conclusion, I'm curious your thoughts, but both scenes for me were great for their time. I think everyone who played the original game back in the 90s remembers this sequence a little bit, at least, for a reason. I mean, these are pretty impressive graphics and animations for their day, and the live stream concept was interesting, and it was understood, I think, well enough to be able to progress in the game and be curious about what's happening without thinking that you didn't get it, I think, enough, you know? And then it also had this, in the original game, it had this really peaceful synthy kind of chime soundtrack of the live stream's leitmotif that played this calming role while you watched it. And along similar lines, I think Rebirth scene, the sequence really works well also. I think that the dialogue is much stronger in Rebirth for obvious reasons. The visuals are amazing, and the way that they chose to move the camera and animate the live stream totally support the story that Bugenhagen is telling. It looks really nice. And I love how the live stream leitmotif is played by, it's so beautiful, you guys. This confident, the music. I'm gonna freak out about the music. Big shock.
Yeah, the music's great.
But it's this confident, respectful kind of strings. There's chimes, woodwinds, on top of kind of atmospheric tones.
What happens next? The body withers and returns to the planet. But what of the mind, the spirit, the soul? Much like its former vessel.
And I don't know, it's so cool because, I mean, since the Rebirth sequence is this pre-rendered cutscene too, the music can be composed to swell and hit at specific moments consistently. Whereas in the original game, the soundtrack was more limited to be a track that was played on a loop, right? So it didn't necessarily rise and fall with specific moments because it couldn't very easily. So any thoughts from you guys on the OG?
I think it's interesting because when they talk about spiritual energy being the thing that begets new life, it's cyclical. So without it, new life won't come. Because I feel a big theme of the remake series is once we drain the Mako, the planet dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of morbid if you think about it when they're this spiritual energy that's powering your phone is could be a potential human being in the future because you know what I mean? It's not only is it I mean, they talk about this in Rebirth, but they, it's the souls of all living people.
That tablet that the planetologist is using.
Right, but it's you would think that if people knew this, people would not go along with getting energy. And I know that you can make a similar argument, electricity and all the things that we use is draining the planet's resources, we want lithium batteries and we're mining things and we're going off and
but it's not actual human souls.
Right. And it's the thing that's powering your computer and your lights, it's your progeny in the future,
Your great-great-grandmother,
Mm-hmm. That's my point. It's either your ancestors or it's the people that come after, right? Because that's what I'm talking about
or should come after.
Sure. But because the OG one is saying the sparkles come after they die, and then all of a sudden it creates a new life, right?
Yeah.
So you're not only saying the planet will die, you're saying like new life cannot be born because you're using it to power your house or something. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of morbid because it's a direct like one-to-one comparison. But.
Yeah.
It is, but again, right? Like it's social commentary, right?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It's pointing out that you are ultimately destroying your own future or your future generation's future by current gain versus long-term cost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And they did a great job. Like that was the point they were trying to make, that all these things we've done since like the industrialization era and the massive amount of growth and everything, you know, all that's happened has been at a great future cost. And maybe we're barely starting to see that now. But that's the point they want you to think about that and say, okay, is what we're doing worth the cost down the road?
Right. And because there's not those levels of separation, right? They're just saying like this energy literally begets new life, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of us, like the way we think of it, it's like, well, you know, electricity's not even real. I plug this cord into a USB-C and it charges my phone, right? People don't realize that it's like coming from a power plant and it's like fossil fuels and all these things that are happening that are powering these devices, you know? Mm-hmm. We just think of it as like whatever, but we can separate ourselves. But the thing that Final Fantasy VII does, it is on the nose, but it's effective because it's like you're literally taking up the energy that is the souls of living things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting because Tifa, after all of this, when we get to the next scene, she questions what actually happens to the spiritual energy when it's utilized.
But does it actually fade away?
So teaser, I guess, for next time.
Cool, yeah.
But there is one final thing, you know, that I want to mention before we wrap up officially. And you can probably take a guess at what it might be. I alluded to it a little bit. I just want to throw out a shout out to the voice actor who plays Bugenhagen.
This is only the beginning.
I know that, like, Ernest, you were talking about his voice, right? But you're talking about more the fact that he keeps laughing all the time.
It keeps doing it and it's annoying, yeah.
Yeah, I can get that. But do you dislike the voice acting otherwise, or is it just that part?
No, it's just that. Like the voice actor's fine. I have no issue with him whatsoever. It was just the constant hoo. It wasn't even in this part that it really got to me, even though it's kind of annoying. It's later on when we're in like some very intense and serious stuff, and he's there in the background going hoo, and I'm like, really? This is not the time for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So, I mean, aside from the hoo, as Ernest had talked about, like, aside from that, I just think the voice actor is fantastic. He's so good to me, you guys. His name is Frank Todaro, and he's got one of those like crazy curled up like handlebar mustaches in his IMDb pictures.
Yeah, you got to be one of those guys if you're going to voice Bugenhagen. You got to be one like that.
I will say, though, he doesn't look nearly as old as, I mean, Bugenhagen looks like ancient, but he doesn't look like an old man either to me. Like, he still has like mostly dark hair. I know you can dye your hair or something, but then, okay, this was weird, and I don't know what the deal is, but his first acting credit was it shows that it's 1969, playing somebody called Mr. Arashiyama in a dubbed show called Flying Phantom Ship. Unless that's a mistake, because then he doesn't have another...
He is old.
Well, he doesn't have another credit listed until 1995. So to have like a actual named credit in 1969 and only one, right? But then not have anything else in 1995, that's just very odd to me. So I was like...
How old is he?
It didn't say.
Oh, okay.
Like, because that's a 28-year gap.
Yeah, I know.
With like nothing there. So I was like, is this a mislisting, or he just did that project for fun when he was like 18 or something? Like, because the character's name was Mr. something. So it doesn't sound like it was like a 3-year-old. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like a child.
And then like maybe he jumped back into voice acting. I don't know. I looked it up. That movie, the 1969 movie, did exist. So that's a real thing that happened in 1969. So maybe he was mistagged. Like, I don't know what's going on. I was just like,
we must find out what is going on.
You know me. I was like dwelling on that for like 20 minutes. I'm like, what is happening here? But anyway, whatever. Regardless of that mystery. So he does work a good amount, though. Like, his credits come from kind of similar to other actors that we've looked at their profiles. Like, his credits come from like video games, TV series, dubbed and not dubbed. And one of his most recognizable roles is as Starscream, the Transformer. We get a lot of Transformer people. There
Heck
must be
yeah.
like all kinds of Transformer games and animated series like everywhere and movies. Like this is just like a really popular IP for voice acting, I guess. And I don't know what this is, so which is a shock to no one. But he's apparently also known for being, maybe you know, Spencer. You knew what One Punch Man was.
One Punch!
Yeah. Have you heard of the show called The Cuphead Show?
I know Cuphead the game. I don't know this show.
So the Cuphead Show, he was Mugman. He's known for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Cuphead is like a side-scrolling, kind of like a Mega Man style. Like it's a platformer with a shooter, and it's Cuphead and Mugman.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, but it's like super hard.
So did the game come before the show?
The game is drawn in like a 1950s animation style,
Oh.
but it came out in like 2018 or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, he's Mugman in the TV version.
Okay, so maybe they made like an animated series.
Yeah, it's done like in the OG black and white Walt Disney animation
Oh,
style.
like the Steamboat Willie style from
Yes,
like the 20s?
exactly.
It looks like Steamboat Willie, but you can play it. It's
Really?
actually amazing art.
I think I've seen clips of that.
So yeah, maybe even before that, 1950s, it's more like
Yeah, 1920s
1920s,
probably.
1930s.
Okay, that's interesting. And then he also has supporting roles in some recognizable IP that are also on his resume. He like a Star Wars TV series, a Disney Mickey and Friends podcast. Did you know there was a podcast? He's the
No.
narrator. Okay.
Wow.
cool.
Right on.
He's in like a Bugs Bunny show, like Gundam stuff, Fire Emblem, Ghostbusters.
Who is he in Fire Emblem?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't have to look it up. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nintendo.
A Ghostbusters video game, and then a bunch of other stuff I haven't seen, but I haven't seen a lot of things. So
Gotcha.
anyway, it's cool to see him like having a good amount of success because I think he deserves it. I think he's well cast.
Mhm.
I think he hits all the right beats. I think he knows how to, as convincingly as you can, put that little laugh at the beginning of every phrase without sounding like he's trying to force like a scripted laugh each time, even though that's exactly what he has to do,
Mhm.
is force a scripted laugh like every time. So
Yeah.
I thought he did that as well as you possibly can. I just think he's really good. And you know he's good because whenever he talks, you're interested in what he has to say and not in how he's saying it, right?
Yeah.
Which is great because for a character we really only see for like half a chapter, at least in part 2, Bugenhagen really carries a lot of these scenes. So having a great voice actor is really critical for him. And I think Rebirth aced it. I wouldn't change a single thing about his performance. I thought it was perfect given what he had to work with. So bravo, Frank. You done good.
Jolie stamp of approval.
If you ever see this, please write in the comments what's going on with the 1969 loan credit. I'm so confused.
We need to know.
You said that was on IMDb, right?
Yeah, so he could have been mistagged.
That thing has all kinds of mistakes on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it probably is a mistake.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it really is weird to have 28 years gap there.
Especially if it's not like a transition from a child actor to an adult.
Right, that would make no sense.
Right, well, it was like a Mr. something character,
Right,
unless they
right.
named like a cat Mr. something and it was voiced by a 5-year-old, you know, like, which maybe it's anime, it looked like, so who knows.
Mhm.
But okay, I think that's probably all we have time to discuss for this episode. But I've already started bulleting out the next episode, and it is some cool story stuff.
Yeah.
We can look forward to, like Tifa duking it out with the planetologists and also the River of Lights.
Yeah, with Aaron.
Which I'm really anxious to talk about because there's a lot there, right? So I guess we could just say stay tuned wherever you get your podcasts. Watch the video version on either Spotify or YouTube. And as always, I mean, we encourage you to follow our dedicated YouTube channel. That's kind of our home, right? And it does give us support when you leave a comment and a like. Please subscribe, help us grow. It's fun to see comments from the same crew and then also new people. Like, we notice all of you. Thank you for your kind comments. And also, special thanks to those in our YouTube community who joined the streams and also like shared opinions for this particular episode, this discussion. And if you want to hang out with us live,
Yeah, come stream with us, you guys.
yeah.
We've got lots of stuff going on.
That's
We've
right.
got streams Wednesdays and Fridays. So, I don't know. I think it'll be super cool. Wednesday nights, it's just me. So, sorry, not as cool. But on Fridays...
I think that's probably cooler.
Well, Friday nights is going to be when Jolie and I stream together and we're going through remakes. So if you have some sort of FOMO, if you've been listening to our Rebirth deep dives and you're like, oh, I wish the Final Fantasy files would have done like, kind of a deep dive on remake, you can come hear our thoughts there, which is a great time. And what I want to start doing, and I haven't told Jolie this, but I was talking to people on stream about this last night. Jolie and I are playing through Remake on Friday nights, but it's kind of hard to be playing the game and to kind of analyze everything that's going on as we're playing. So on Wednesday nights, I want to do kind of like a book club style discussion.
That's a good idea.
Of what we played and then include the community on that. So
I like that.
This could be a disaster and not true. So in the future, you can see if this is the case. But we're going to try and do like Discord call-ins and then people kind of give their thoughts and opinions on the chapters that we played.
Like actual voice call-ins?
Yeah, voice call-ins from the community.
I gotta say, man, I know there's things that's got its flaws, but like I love the remakes.
Yeah, if you want to, you can join and we can.
That's cool.
What it will be is I will have like topics of discussion. We're going to say like, let's talk about chapter 1 and 2, and kind of like you host these, I will host those, and we'll see what the community thinks about that. So anyway, we'll try it out. It could be a disaster, but
that could also be really fun. Ernest, you should totally call in.
Yeah, that would be great.
We're going to arrange that.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Ernest needs to be a part of that.
That would be fun.
Just be careful not to do that live.
No, it is live.
No, it'll be live. That's what live streaming is.
No, but I mean like a little bit offset because Jolie, you've worked in the business, right? Like, there's a big red button. If something happens.
Oh, I see. I see what he's saying. So he's saying inviting other callers coming in and letting them speak if they like fly off the handle or whatever. We can't really control that.
No, that's always a risk. I think it's not a huge risk for our size yet, but to what you're saying is totally true.
There's precautions you can take on like Discord channels. You can have like a waiting room and screen people and then invite them in and then talk about stuff. So yes, like totally.
The nice thing too, though, is Spencer and I are starting to get to know some of the personalities of the people who show up frequently, right?
And they're really cool people.
Yeah.
I adore these characters. I love these characters.
And also remember that there is an audio version of our podcast as well, and that is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Please give us a review, give us 5 stars.
This is weird. I try to listen to the audio version after I've created the video version just to see how it plays out, and I think it's fun.
You do a good job. I know.
I kind of edit for audio in a lot of ways.
You did that tonight when you were describing what happened in the planetarium.
Being very verbose about every detail visually.
No, but it's good.
I think a lot of people listen to podcasts during commutes, and a lot of them are driving, so they can't be watching it, but they want to hear it.
For sure. All right. And with that, okay, so can I be kind of sentimental and change my outro?
You can say whatever you want.
So I've been saying walk tall, my friends, which is from Final Fantasy 15, which is a good line. And Final Fantasy 15 is, for all of its massive problems, beloved in my heart. But I want to make up my own thing. So a few years back when I was pregnant with my oldest, I wrote a show all about kind of paying it forward.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a really cool experience. And, it made an impact on me writing the script, but then the whole production, everything, all the actors and stuff was really cool. But the phrase that people would say that I wrote into it was, "You're worth more than you know."
You're worth more than you know.
And it means we all lose sight of how much true value we really have. And when it really comes down to it, that's the message I want anybody out there to get from us, even though it's just totally not Final Fantasy, is that every single person out there is worth more than they realize they're worth. Like, you are worth more than you know. So my new outro is not going to be very funny. It's just very dear to my heart. You're worth...
Don't worry, I'll make up for it.
More than you know.
Sorry.
You already killed it. It's okay.
And in honor of Jolie's changing hers, I'll change mine for one episode.
Oh, I started a trend.
But I'm actually going to borrow it from the immortal Lester Holt, for anybody who knows who that is.
Oh, yeah.
He always signs his broadcast off by saying, "Take care of yourselves and each other."
Okay.
So now it's like I have to say something sentimental and nice.
No, now you have to bring it back to funny. I didn't think
else,
Ernest was going to do it. I thought I was going to be the only one.
Yeah, you guys are great. And I just...
Cheeky little blotters.
You're a bunch of cheeky little blotters. You'd stay good out there and whatever. I do love you guys, and it has been so fun getting to know all of you. So yeah, I'll be a little sentimental, but get out of here, you cheeky little blotters.
Mush, mush, mush. Yeah, there it is. Yay.